We talk football and current events, sitting and chatting with the very best guests. With two Scottish boys and we're loving it. So if you like witty banter, check the former #1 podcast on iTunes. Sitting and chatting.
Hello.
Fuck's sake.
Oh, this is going to be a fucking long night. Hello and welcome back to Sit and Chat Podcast. I'm Whyte.
I'm Jim Allan.
I'm the host for the fourth time I've been on now, Dylan.
Dylan, begrudgingly, thanks for coming back.
I'm ready to go.
You're ready, are you?
I've got a game plan.
You're really keen to win this tonight, aren't you?
I know, because I think it was because the whole Jamaican thing last time. I just really urged me on to get some sort of victory.
Who won the last quiz show? Was it Jamie?
Jamie won it, but I think Jamie agreed to let me win it if I'm part Jamaican.
No, did a fuck.
Well, either way, guess what? We'll find out come the Christmas special if you are or no, right? But yeah, anyway, as you can tell by Dylan being back, being the third host, we're going to play another game show. 2 podcasts in a row that will be different. To let the viewers know, next week's episode has also been pre-recorded. We've done that first the night, so hopefully this one goes well. Fingers crossed.
I like what you're getting me in for the game shows because it just means that you see my face, you know it's going to be good. It's just the perfect way to do.
Well, right. We've had 1 from 1 success so far. Let's hopefully that it's 2 and 2. Otherwise, the.
I'd say the Dish Track podcast was a game show in itself.
I mean, I don't think it was. I don't think there was any much game showness about it.
No, that seemed like a competition, that whole podcast.
Right. Well. Anyway, because Would I Lie to You was such a success, it has to be said, incredibly. We don't know how really, but we decided to come back with another game show, one that we've definitely nicked from another TV company whatsoever, totally fresh in our own minds. I've called it Room 102. Very different, very original.
I thought it was Floor 101, but you know.
No, that doesn't exist. I know what you're talking about. But yeah, no, basically what's going to happen today is, again, if you watch the previous episode with Dylan on it, the Would I Lie to You episode, firstly go and watch it, it's a belter. But actually, we're also following typical game show formats again, so this time we're basing it loosely on the game show Room 101.
Very loosely.
Yeah, there's a few changes this time. On Room 101, there's usually 1 host. This time there's going to be 3. All of us are going to take charge in hosting. Basically, it's going to go from me to Dylan to Jamie. We're all going to give the other 2 guys a topic. From that point on, then the other 2 have to argue their topic. And the host at the end decides who has the best argument. It's not what the host personally likes better. It's whoever has the best argument. And they have to argue the worst thing about that topic. So, with that all being said, I suppose I'll start it off. I don't know why I'm absolutely shit myself, because I just feel like this is going to go tits up again like the previous one.
There you go.
Either way, our first topic today, boys, thought we'd start it off, we're doing a podcast ourselves. Podcasts. What is the worst thing about podcasts? Now, I'll just take your opening statements and then you can kind of argue your points. So, Dylan, what do you think is the worst thing about podcasts?
I guess doesn't match the energy of a host.
Okay. Jamie, what is yours?
Sitting and chatting.
You're actually saying sitting and chatting is the worst?
No.
Okay.
The worst thing about podcasts is the length.
The length of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right, Dylan, first, do you have an example of a guest not matching the host? Is there any sitting and chatting episode you want to bait out live on air that this has happened?
No sitting and chatting, but it's quite common that if you see a podcast with a football player, stuff like that, you know what I mean? You'll be the people they'll be talking to are literally talking to their idol, and they're talking to them in a very there's so many situations where a footballer will just talk to somebody in a very just disrespectful way. When like the True Geordie podcast, he's had so many podcasts now where like he's had someone on that's just completely no understood what's going on. They're just there because they've released a book. You know what I mean? Like, and it's that kind of like when you're there and you're just no in the moment, you're just there to show your book. That was like Sean Atwood. He's been in these podcasts and so many other podcasts because he's so good at it. But then you'll have other people that are just a one-off that will never do it again. Like, just to get that 1 minute of like advertisement to a different audience.
No, that's fair. And Jamie, what about the length annoys you?
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Because he's going on about football players.
Right.
And how
Does it as well?
But
He did the exact same thing.
Aye, but yeah, you base your argument there off football players. The True Geordie podcast, they had Ian Wright on. He was amazing. And
Ian Wright was really good.
And you've named Sean Atwood. He's a YouTuber.
No, I said he was good.
Aye, but he was a YouTuber. He wasn't a football player.
I know, but
Your example was a football player was shite and doesn't match up.
Alan Shearer, when he went on, he talked about stuff, but he didn't really want to get into it with a lot of stuff. He didn't want to talk about any of the stuff that he went through. Didn't want.
Is that not just any random person could just want to feel like that? Like they didn't want to.
Aye, but to be fair,
but you make that effort to go into a podcast.
I think to be fair, Dylan's opening argument, he did say that it was guests that don't match the host. I think he was just using footballers as an example. I don't think he meant just necessarily any footballer. I think he was just guests in general that don't match the host's sort of, I don't know, ambitions or desires, so to speak.
The length of the podcast is what annoys me. I'd rather it was.
You mean our one specifically, or any in general?
Just any in general. Like if Jack Mate's podcast comes up and it's at an hour and a half, I'll no listen to it because it's just effort. I'd rather a podcast was short and sweet. You get as much questions and answers out of the person. Have a bubbly chat as you wish inside an hour. That would be the ideal time. Now, there's obviously the exceptions. For example, if you are going to talk like when you get a guest like somebody that's done time in Berlin for 30 years and he used to be a fucking mass murderer, then obviously it's going to go on for longer.
Right.
But these are the ones you're more excited about. Whereas if you're bringing on somebody like Whyte onto your podcast,
about 5 minutes.
That should be a 10-minute job inside out. But it gets stretched out to an hour and a half. And then if you're sat, like I never travel enough, for example, like Dylan travels in the train, so podcast is good for him. But even that, you're talking 35, 40 minutes on a train, sometimes longer.
No, but if you're accounting for a whole travel of everything, it's about an hour.
Aye, so an hour. So say Jack Mate uploads a podcast and he starts it in the morning, he's not finishing it until he's, until he's going home again, because it's that long. Whereas if they fit it in an hour, they'll be able to listen to the whole thing in the morning, for example. The length of it is a pain in the arse.
Okay, then. So yours is more when it comes to listening, then you don't want to listen to one that's like
No, not just me. I feel like people would listen to podcasts and take it in a lot more if it was just an hour the other day. An hour? Rather than like an hour and a half, 2 hours of a podcast.
I feel like that same mentality is what made the shorts channels exist, though. You know what I mean? Like, you'll get clips and, like, they're really bingeable. Like, there's so many times where I don't watch Jack Mate's podcast, but I watch, like, 3 clips for the one podcast. Like, I might not watch that one, but I'll watch 3 clips in that same podcast, and each of them are, like, 10 minutes long. So, like, obviously no podcasts have that production value to do, like, have every clip edited down, every interesting moment, but, like, it does make it easier to digest it.
That's based on YouTube, though, if you go to watch YouTube. What if somebody is just a Spotify premium?
Well, like Joe Rogan.
Like just Spotify or just iTunes. Do you know what I mean? You don't have YouTube, you don't like it. It's for whatever reason you've never visited the website. You miss all the wee funny parts because you've not managed to watch the full hour and 30 minutes. Because like 9 times out of 10, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll get like an hour and 5 minutes into it. And then I'll need to go do something and then I'll forget to go back to it. And I miss that last, even if it's 25 minutes. And I'll go back to that and I never ever do. And then you see it on like a shorts channel. And you're like, oh fuck, how did I not see that? Like that sort of idea. Whereas if it was like cut down to a lot of I know people can go on tangents and stuff, but a lot of it can be cut out, and some of the line of question could be better for hosts. So I guess it is the hosts as well that need to ask better line of questioning, I suppose.
So then, so today, right, you and me obviously just on a podcast before we recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
It was about an hour and 10 minutes, which if you look back at our channel, episodes where we don't have a guest typically are about 50 minutes to about an hour and 10 is what we typically are, sort of average. Ones with guests normally always are about an hour and a half long. It's very rare we go above that, but sometimes we obviously hit the 2 hour mark sort of thing. For us doing that now, I feel personally for our one's also a wee bit different in the sense that we do have media trained people, so to speak, that are coming in. So for the first 10 minutes, a lot of the people we have on at first are quite quiet or maybe a wee bit reserved. And it takes them a while to get into it. No, definitely not you. I can say for a fact you're one of the few that did not need any warming up to get into it.
I just came back off releasing a diss track my first entrance, you know what I mean? It was like, I just got a number 1 in the charts, you know what I mean? You come in with confidence.
Yeah, well, not everyone's you, Dylan. Obviously, folk do take a while to sort of warm up to it and all that. Do you think our one's too long then, or not?
No, I feel as though, like, the thing is, I never go back and listen to yours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it's very rare I go back and listen to ours, mostly because obviously we've done it, we've loved it. Yeah. There's not really much reason to go back.
So, like, for us, I don't mind recording an hour podcast or an hour and a half podcast. It's for when I go to listen to ones that are professionally made and in a studio and is taking.
Whoa. These are professionally made.
But having said that, I would, like, if I was to go listen back to us, I would rather it was with guests like an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
20 minutes, and then our one could be like 50 minutes. That would be perfect. But an hour and a half doesn't really matter, and an hour for our own ones doesn't matter to me because I don't listen to them.
Okay. Right, that's fair.
Yeah, we counter that though. Like, I'll see our podcast getting released weekly. Like, there's a few podcasts that I watch where we'll listen to it. Well, there's one podcast in particular. It's 4.5 hours long, and most weeks I'll listen to it. But like
4.5 hours long.
They're
Who the fuck records for 4.5 hours, man?
I'll go see the last upload because I've not watched them in a few weeks.
But no shit, because you take a week to watch one episode.
Yeah, no, but like that's the whole point of it. Like it is like this weekly thing that like you don't rush to finish it. Like I'm just going through 4 hours and 7 minutes, 4 hours 11 minutes, 4 hours 3 minutes, 4 hours 6 minutes.
Yeah, they've got a shorts channel.
No, they've got time. They've got timestamps in the description.
Right.
Like there's like timestamps that, like, you know what I mean. The length of them is like very long, but like they're pretty much like professional podcasters. You know what I mean? Over 500 episodes in, I feel you're drawing the line between an interview and a podcast when you start narrowing it down. Like the whole point of a podcast is just general chatting, but like if you start like individually,
it's interviewing as well though. Podcast.
Oh no, but it is. But an interview, you could get a 30-minute interview. But if you want to get if True Geordie was interviewing Ian Wright, he wouldn't have got in crying, talking about like his memories and stuff like that. But because he did have that long chat with him, like he opened up as a slow form, and obviously that could be one of the podcasts you're talking about where it is worth watching. But like, I feel like you're drawing the line between an interview and a podcast quite thin.
So I would happily go watch the Ian Wright podcast over and over again because I thought it was a great podcast. But that was one I was looking forward to. Whereas, like, if you weren't looking forward to it, you probably.
I agree with that. If you're not looking forward to it, there's no reason for you to watch it. Like, but it is preference.
And that was only that. To be fair though, that was only 2 hours. So like, I'm basing it off you get an hour and a half with a guest, like an extra half hour. If you're excited for the podcast, is all right. But see, during that podcast, if you go back and listen, there'll be times where you could probably cut out 10 minutes of talking about absolute shite and nothing, and then maybe another section with 5 minutes, so you can make it an hour and 45, and then cut it down again. Because
I feel that's the build up to the base. Like it's
not at the start though. I'm not just talking about the start in general throughout the whole thing when they go on tangents and talk about like loads of shite, where it probably wouldn't need to have happened, but. You know.
Right. Okay. I'm going to make a decision then. He's actually have both given good arguments, to be fair. Now, I will say, actually, to be fair, Jamie, I do think I fall on sort of the other spectrum of what you're saying. I actually enjoy the an hour and a half podcast or 2 hour podcast, especially back when like I had more time in my hands. Like I used to enjoy like going out for walks or runs, or when I'm at the gym, I enjoy like listening to those longer ones. Helps me get through it. So I wouldn't say that falls necessarily for me. However, I do know that we live in an age now where people want to consume short, fast content. And I know that I'm probably the exception to the rule when it comes to that. Likewise as well, though, Dylan, it is obviously very annoying when guests don't match the energy. But I will say in retort to that, I don't think that happens nearly as much anymore. I obviously know that like some guests, like you said, will be a bit stinkers, not just because, not like even necessarily they're not trying, but just because, you know, they didn't match the vibe. Yeah. Yeah. But so for that reason and that reason alone, because I know that it doesn't happen as much, I think podcasts nowadays are becoming more mainstream accepted and more people do them more regularly. I think they know what to sort of expect and as such match the kind of vibe and energy required for them. For that reason, I'm going to give the point to Jamie for that one for the first round.
Wait, is it point based? I never even knew that.
Yeah, I'm just same as the previous game show. We'll just do 1 point for the winner.
Yeah. To be honest, Allan, I thought you would take that because podcasts you actually listen to them.
No, I mean like they both could have won. I totally agree with what Dylan's saying. I'm just saying that I don't see that happen that much, to be honest. Whereas I do know that a lot of people complain about how long sometimes content can be, and they want shorter based content. So yeah, first point then goes to Jamie.
Tell us, man.
I know, but it's fine. He's got a chance to get us. Right, Jamie, Dylan, what's your first topic?
First topic will be religion.
Again, it started off nice and Amy.
Who starts?
Right.
Liam.
Now, I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking I could go into some deep topic of, you know, how all the wars it causes, all like, you know, the fighting, you know, the, you know, untrust between families, you know, causing breakups, all that kind of stuff. But I thought I'd make it more lighthearted because fuck that shit. So my biggest problem with religion, right, is see if you go into a church or any sort of religious building, it's so sort of dull and boring and no one wants to be there. I think they need to liven up the places of worship. Right. Firstly, right. Well, actually, I'll let Jamie explain what his problem is first, sorry, and then we'll go.
I don't want to be a part of this one after what you've just said.
Lighthearted.
Oh, lighthearted! You've just pretty slandered every religious building.
No, it's fine. You know, I can't just slander one religion.
Nothing's wrong with religion. Fucking hell! Wow,
that would need to be Liam getting the point if nothing's wrong with religion.
That's mad, by the way.
No, it's fine. I'll explain myself in a wee bit, but you go. What's yours?
On you go too.
That's mental what you've just said.
No, it's fine.
So
it's fine.
The worst, what I believe is the worst thing about religion is the rules within religions. So know the war. Like, I'm going the same line as Liam. It's not about the wars it causes or the hatred between religions, especially in India and Pakistan, but more so the rules within religion that. Well, I'll explain the rest obviously once we've got into it. But in general, the rules within religions. That's what I not have a problem with. I just don't agree with.
On you, Liam.
Aye, so I mean, like, right, let's face it, right? I mean, you know, I'm a good Catholic boy myself, which I know that I'll use love in general, especially you, Dylan, being close to Parkhead. But but see if you think about it, right? So I don't know, when was the last time I don't know, have you guys been to church recently or that?
I've not been to church since I was 9.
Right. The last time I was in a church was my granddad.
Right.
Okay. So I grant you it wasn't the greatest experience.
I mean, I'm not talking about necessarily for funerals, just in any sort of sake, but yeah. Like, you go into like a church, right? We'll use a church as an example because obviously that's the one that I've been in the most, right? Now, granted, the stained glass windows, they look great. They look class, right? You know, big crosses, very impressive. Big fan of that, right? However, see the fucking benches you get, right? they're about as wide enough for like half an arse cheek to sit on, and they're as uncomfy as fuck. No one wants to sit there. That's why you stand up throughout most of the ceremony. You know, quite frankly, a boy, they really need to get like some proper, like, you know, felt couching or something like that. I think that would be good for not just, you know, me, but also the older generation that go. It makes it more comfy for them, makes it more understandable for them. Nextly, as well, you know, like, have you ever been like in a church during winter? Always fucking freezing. Granted, it's a big building, but they really should crack up the heating at some point. Again, poor old people, they always suffer for the cold. This is just making it worse experience for them. And if it's not a good experience for them, they will only come back. Not me personally. I'm talking.
They will, because it's their faith.
See the issue with that though.
What?
Not many people fund the church.
Not many people what?
All this stuff. Not many people fund the church.
No. See, that's where you are lying, right? My gran has been going to church since she was day dot old, and she has been contributing since she's been making.
So, if the church is that bad, why does your gran keep revisiting? Answer me that. Answer me that.
No. My point is, right, yes, don't get me wrong, the faith, as it should, will overcome. However, we're in a day and age right now where, you know, less and less people are taking up faith. And I think part of the reason why is that, you know, churches are quite frankly uncomfortable. and, you know, I think as well, you know, music as well, right?
Jesus Christ.
But do you know what they could do as well, right? You know, like, if you've ever seen Blues Brothers, you know, like they have like the live, you know, like they have like the live orchestra playing. They need that. They don't need like it playing over the music.
Are you talking about in like American churches or like
no. I'm talking like, you know, still in Britain. Well, it can be in America as well, but you know, for our church as well, you know, you should always have like live, you know, singing. You know, that would make it more entertaining as well. Everyone always wants to see live singing. No one wants to, you know, listen to Spotify. That will make it better. You know, next as well, you know, like, again, heating, benches, live music. I think all these things will help out greatly with church numbers. And if all these things are taking part in, you'll see the numbers increase vastly. And that is how you solve religion.
Oh my God. So, Daniel, just give me the point now.
All right, on you go. Explain your point.
I came on a cracking argument for that. I'm just saying.
Oh my God. I might actually just, I might not even give you my point. I might just dictate and defend his point.
No. You have to argue your point. Go on.
Right. That is fucking brilliant. Right. So, religion, granted, Christianity in Britain is a dying
faith
religion, if you will. But what is kind of still very, you know, widely accepted around the world at the moment is obviously Islam and, you know, Sikhs. That's the two kind of main ones, and obviously these are the ones it's not necessarily I have problems with, but it's the rules in particular that they have to follow. So I've got a couple of Muslim friends, as Dylan is aware of, which will not be named for obvious reasons. And I have I have a friend who is a Muslim, and he is gay. Now, he's yet to tell his parents, and will never ever be able to tell his parents, because he could either be killed, sent back to Pakistan to be killed, or disowned. And this is about as real as you get. That's just one example. Now, in a day and age where, you know, that pride is a part of our life in every way, shape and form, everybody should be accepted, and not just, you know, straight males and straight females. You know, as much as, you know, you might not agree with it, but pride is something that's here and it's not going away anytime soon. But religion,
I don't agree with that. I don't know if you're talking to the audience about that.
No, definitely, yeah. But you know, it's in our life, right? Whether we like it or not, and it would be more socially accepted if all religions would take up on
have an opt-out. It'd be good if they had an opt-out option. You know what I mean? Like in any first world country, in America, there's always an opt-out option. But if you're born in Pakistan and you're trying to opt out, you're gonna get
Yeah, you get killed, beheaded, or whatever. There's so much rules, and
even white men get killed for it.
Yeah,
just because they have a different religion.
It's the simple ones as well. So it's something simple as Muslims, they can't eat pork or any bacon, like anything from a pig. They can't drink alcohol and they can't smoke. They can't take drugs, but yet they can sell it all. So why is it a rule that you can't eat it, but you can sell it or drink it?
Other people,
you can sell it. Do you know what I mean? It's a simple rules that ruin that's the reason faith is dying, is the rules that are implicated with it.
And I think that I'm not saying necessarily they have to move with the times, but in certain ways, you know, a book that's written 2,000 years ago is obviously going to be out of date. There's no question about it. You know, the world moves on. Certain things that are accepted now might not have even been accepted 20 or 30 years ago. And I think that's part of the problem, like you said, with religion, is they're not ready to accept and maybe, you know, adjust with the times, so to speak.
And
I feel like in some... Sorry.
And obviously you go into a place of worship, regardless of whose it is. Now, whether you accept the building or not, like some, you walk into a building that's, you know, sacred, if you will, to them, and it's a place of worship. You follow the rules because it's their place of worship. So when we were back in primary school, we went down to the mosque in Stirling. You had to take off your shoes, wash your feet, and go in. And then they would show you a live prayer session. And obviously, you know, at the school, you're in primary school and you see this. This is something that's like, wow, what's this all about? And then as you get older, you forgot about it because religion's not a part of school. That's why faith is dying so much. But the reason Christianity will never die, although it's a dying faith, is because there is no rules other than the basics. Like, you can't have sex out of like wedlock. You've got to be married before you can do stuff like that.
Just
married before you have kids. Aye, just generally be a good person. You're still allowed to drink alcohol. You can still make your own life choices. It's the same with Catholics. Like, they've got their own ability to have a life, but they can, you know, you can be gay and be a Catholic. You know, some people may not accept it, but in general, your place of worship does. Whereas for, you know, the Islamic one or the Sikh one, you just cannot be gay in that religion. Same with Buddhas as well, which I never knew about until earlier on. You can't be a gay Buddha, which is mental. But aye, so the rules in general, if they'd open up their eyes to the world and maybe accept it or rewrite the worship, you maybe find that your religion would be, you know, forever growing.
Do you think as well it's potentially like a fear thing? Like, a lot of religion is based under fear. Like, if you do X, Y, and Z bad, you will go to hell, or, you know, you will not go to heaven. Do you think maybe that's the worry for some of these like elders that maybe do potentially believe in it and have the power to make these changes, that they're worried if I do now make the changes?
Yeah, it's a family thing as well, obviously, because I've got friends who are, there's one in particular, when their parents were no longer around, you know, they would start drinking alcohol and stuff, and it's like, so if you're willing to do it prior and not willing to do it prior, you shouldn't be willing to do it after. But obviously it's because religion isn't a massive thing in Britain. Like in America, you see, like Dylan was talking about it like earlier on, like when you've got a church full of, you know, African American males and females, they sing like fuck in their place of worship. They have the best time on.
And that's what our churches need.
No, it's the exact same looking building, but they actually have fun with it, and they're that's
there's an atmosphere. It's not just the elders. It's not just the elders and stuff. Like, one of the things I was going to say is, like, something that I just don't agree with is you could be a murderer, and I just don't get, like, it's pushed on you if you're in prison to, like, turn to the Bible. And like the thing I don't like about it is, like, some people have done terrible things and they've been able to find acceptance in themselves, but the parents of these kids aren't even getting over it. Like, I hate how, like, if in other religions you don't get away with murdering someone, but with Christianity, like, to a point where it's a bit too loose of the fact that you can just be forgiven for murdering someone, and this person's mum probably like up at night every single night praying that her son is resting easy, and this other person's conscience is wiped because one person told him that he's repented his sins.
Aye. Wow, religion, mad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we know.
It's not even close to.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm feeling willing to accept the L here. All I'm saying is, I can make it light-hearted.
So did that. So did that.
Did you fuck?
What are you talking about? I could have went into the fact that it started wars in India and stuff, but I never. Kept it light-hearted.
Light-hearted, though.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, I'll fully accept you that Jamie won that one.
It was light-hearted, man. Fuck's sake.
Fuck off. Right, Jamie, what's your first topic for me and Dylan?
Partly because it's the only one I remember. Footballers' wages. So, Leo, in fact, no, Dylan, hit us with what's the worst thing about footballers?
No, I don't think there's any problem with how much money they make, but I think it's the tax dodging that's the worst part.
Right, Liam.
Again, not really personally how much they make. I have more of an issue with people complaining how much that they make.
Right, okay. So, Dylan, hit us with your points, son.
Like, there's so many football players who, like, you think it, like, these players are from these countries, like Messi's Argentine, he's in Spain, and he's refusing to pay tax in Spain. But Spain's what made him what he is, you know what I mean? If he wasn't there, like, they literally gave him growth hormone surgery, you know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't there, he could just still be a kid in Argentina who was really good at football, just wasn't able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this whole idea of no paying tax because you feel like you deserve it because you earned it. It's you were nothing before that, like before Barcelona took Messi on, and obviously it's not just Messi. So many players do it, like, and it's mostly out of not being in the same country. Like if you're in England and you're English, a lot of English players will pay tax because it's normal in England, but it's foreign players that will come over to other countries and make money because they've came over to this country.
Do you not think, though, Dylan, that it's not potentially Messi's decision that's making it? Messi will have about like fucking 15 people making decisions about his money, and it'll probably be those people that will say to him, "Here, look, we can save you £20 million a year. All you need to do is sign this." So it's not necessarily him that's making the decision and saying "fuck the Spanish." It's actually the people that are in charge working for him that make those decisions.
I feel like no matter what, it's something that you should always watch your own back for.
Yeah,
like,
but are you telling me you don't think necessarily they pitched it to him?
He's at the age where he's focusing on his own thing. But like, I feel like as a person, it's your responsibility to a degree.
Liam, I agree with him in that sense because obviously, this man signs like on a daily basis sponsorship contracts. And, you know, when he re-signs his club deal for Barcelona, do you think he doesn't nitpick at every little thing and ask for more money here, more money there? So he clearly knows how to read the contract. So when they came to him and pitched this idea of how to save £20 million, that might not be a lot to us, but that's a lot in general.
But what it could do for just, obviously all the stuff going on in Catalan and all that, like, what side you're on, it could do so much good for just the people around them.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it won't, but I just necessarily don't think, I necessarily might believe, right, that he's, you know, he might be spending, I don't know, say he's paying like £60 million a year in tax, with how much he earns, he might very well be, right? His higher ups, like one day after he's like done about 15 interviews, come to him and say, "We can save you £20 million. It's not illegal, but would you like to do that?" You'll be like, "Fuck yeah, I'll save myself £20 million.
I don't think they're going to Messi. They're going to Messi's accountants and stuff like that. But you need to take responsibility for your team. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. I don't know. It does relate, but like Fury's team activated his contract to go and fight Wilder again. He's ruined his chance. Like, and that's on him. You know what I mean? It's like your team's actions are your actions. Like, it's the Messi's team. It's, you know what I mean? Like, if you're represented by, like, if that's your organisation, any good person would make sure you're being, like, most people go out of their way to try fund recycling stuff and all that, try fund community centres, and he does in Argentina, but not in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Amigo then, or
on you go.
Yeah, no, so I mean, you know, again, I don't want to take the easy right here. We could all sit here and moan about how much certain footballers make and how much we don't make. However, the key point to make is here, right? What's the chance of like making it to be a footballer if you go into a football academy? It's
one
something
in
like
millions.
1 in millions, right? And that's if you make it into football academy. So you're already the shit hottest person in your year in school, say. You've made it to academy, and then you've got like 1 in a million chance of becoming a footballer. Even if then you do make it to be a 1 in a millionth of a footballer, you then have to hope that you're playing in like a top 5 league to be earning, you know, tens of thousands of pounds a year. And even if you are earning tens of thousands of pounds, it's only then the 1 millionth footballer on top of that that's actually making the very big bucks, your Messi, your Ronaldo's, XYZ. Now, don't get me wrong, they are still ludicrous amounts of money. There's no reason to argue that. However, if taking away the tax dodging problems that Dylan has said, a lot of these people are, you know, good people that give back to charity, you know, they do provide for their communities. They make sure to, you know, spend time with, you know, like kids that are maybe like got cancer or something like that, and, you know, certain charities that would support these children that wouldn't get the support otherwise. So they do in turn give a lot of money back to these people that they don't necessarily have to do. And you've got to remember, these are the most, you know, talented upon talented people that are on the planet. Now, yes, I know I sometimes hear people saying, oh, you know, rugby players should be more, well, I mean, firstly, right, look at it. The skill level between football and rugby, right, is fucking 10 million times. I don't care what anyone says. It's a million times more difficult to be a footballer than it would be to a rugby player. All you need to do is get fat and be able to punch someone, then you can play rugby. You need to be able to pass, you need to be able to shoot, you need to be able to run, you need to be able to dribble. There's a lot more that goes into being a footballer than there does into so many other sports. And because of that, and because like they do a lot, it's not just a case of, yes, okay, the odd few of them will just do the go to training, play football, do nothing else. Whereas you see a lot of people, you know, like I'm thinking of like Henderson, I'm thinking of Rashford, you know, all these people, they've done so much for their communities and so much for other people at young ages, which most people would never do. If, like, say, I don't know, if the average Joe won 25 million quid tomorrow, you bet their life they're not going to be spending, you know, their life in community centres helping, you know, helping children or helping disabled people or that. You know, these people do. And I think because they actually put good time to their money, and because they are the most talented people on the planet when it comes to sports, at least in my opinion, yes, okay, it's a lot of money, but at least what they do with it is good in a lot of cases.
But to come back to that, right, so the average Joe wins £25 million, right, in a lottery. And they go, of course, they're not going to, so they'll give money back to charity and stuff, maybe if you've got the good average Joe.
Yeah.
But this average Joe is just won 25 million. Why would he spend time with disadvantaged kids and stuff?
Why should footballers?
Because they have a profile. They have a public appearance every week for a team that kids then grow up to love. Like when you were a kid, you love Liverpool, you love Gerrard. Now let's say you're a disadvantaged kid, that your dream, because you've not got the everyday lifestyle like somebody that's blessed enough to walk or see or hear or whatever, you know, they've got a good lifestyle, whereas somebody that's maybe in a wheelchair who doesn't get to play football, loves the sport, that's their idol.
Yeah.
So they don't have to, but because you've got that public figure status, these kids look up to you, and they believe that their life can be the same as yours, even though they're disadvantaged and can't walk.
Right. Well, again, though, to put an argument back, though, these footballers in particular, right, see if they didn't care about the people they were visiting, yes, I know sometimes they might be contractually obliged to, not all of them are, some do out of the goodness of their hearts. These people that are visiting it, see if you had to go, like, say, I don't know, like twice or 3 times a month, right, to one of these places, and see if you didn't give a shit, that would become obvious to these people after a while. Like, they would soon know if you gave a shit or not. And say if you don't give a shit, your publicity will tank because it'll be on the news or it'll be posted on Twitter or X, Y, and Z. And as a result of that, because then they don't give a shit, they're actually in a worse position than before. But you never hear about that, though, do you? You never hear about X, Y, and Z has gone to this place, oh, they were actually a dick to me, sort of thing. And because of that, because these people actually care and put in the time, that's why then they're respected, as you were saying. That's why these people look up to them.
Right,
But
to put it back, like Calix, for example, had a Make-A-Wish,
Right.
and he went to meet the whole Arsenal squad
Yeah.
because he had cancer when he was young.
Yeah.
And he spoke about the fact that there was a couple of players who were just nasty and didn't care he was there.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the public scene isn't for everyone, right?
Yeah.
But if you just win the lottery tomorrow with that ticket you bought today, right, and you won 50 million, would you then feel obliged to go to disadvantaged kids?
Genuinely, if I won like that amount of money,
Not would you
tomorrow,
want
yes.
to? Would you feel obliged to?
Yeah, I'd feel obliged to give back some money.
No. Would you feel obliged to go and visit these disadvantaged kids for no other reason than now because you've got money?
Oh, to visit them in person? Well,
Yeah, because that's what they do. So like Rashford will go to the hospital and visit a Man U. A Man U fan that's about to have surgery.
Yeah.
And it's purely out the goodness of his heart. Or maybe the club's asked him as a can you do this for us because it would look good for us.
Yeah.
You get to meet them, they get to meet you, maybe the last time they breathe, blah, 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 whatever. But for you who's just won 50 million in the lottery, you don't feel obliged because nobody knows you've won 50 million. Say you stay anonymous. You've just won 50 million. Why are you then feeling obliged to go visit a wee guy who's just about to have surgery?
Yeah.
You're no. But footballers are because they've got a public presence. Now, on another topic of the wages, right? So obviously you went down the tax dodging route, Dylan, which is very fair.
Mm-hmm.
And you went down the route of people complaining about it, right? Now, the reason I put it across to you both is, so if you take the actual wage that Messi earns from Barcelona, right? Now, let's just go and say it's 250k a week, right? I don't know if it is, but let's say it is, right? That's 250k a week he makes, right? And then say he dodges tax for whatever reason, blah, blah, blah. But over the course of a year, let's say he makes £17 million in a year, right?
Right.
It's a fair whack of money, right? But that's just for Barca.
Not for Nike or Adidas even.
Not for Adidas, not for Coca-Cola, not for Pepsi, whatever it is that he's with. So in total, he maybe makes 30,
Watch the
40
case
million.
of gets sued.
That is it. 30, 40 million pounds a year. Do you know what I mean? So the reason I asked footballers' wages, I was interested to see if one of these would say they make too much from the clubs based on the fact the sponsors they make. Now, granted, a lot of them give back, right? But say you never ever see Rashford going, you know what, this whole year's wage from Man United goes into charity, because you wouldn't do that.
David Beckham done that.
Yeah. So in today's era, that wouldn't happen because he makes so much.
But it did though with Becks.
Aye, with Becks, but no in this era is what I mean. Like, it would never happen because he makes so much more money than what like Becks did.
But that was only like 10 years ago. It was his last season that he gave up.
We're talking 10 years ago. A lot's changed in 10 years.
Yeah, but it'll still be a couple of mil easily that he would have made on that contract from PSG.
Yeah, but a couple of mil is a bit different for 40, 50 million pounds a year.
Okay, fair. Okay.
Right, but what I'm meaning is, so I don't believe that they make too much, but in general, they do because of the sponsorships. But for tax dodging at that amount of money is inexcusable. Do you know what I mean?
But see my biggest problem with the actual whole football is giving back and all that. There's only a few times where you'll see a footballer getting really attached. Like, see how Jermaine Defoe, for example, with the kid for Sunderland.
Aye.
He had a real attachment to him. And I don't know if you know what I mean, but you'll see so many times, and they'll be the nicest person to someone, but you don't see relationships like that all the time. You know what I mean? That's that's like a 1 in a million situation, and that's the kind of football where he deserves the treatment Rashford got for what he done for him. You know what I mean? He literally let him live out so many dreams.
Yeah.
And obviously Rashford's done it on a more public stage in terms of everyone in the country, and he's focused on one person. But it's Rashford, and there's not everybody's Rashford. You know what I mean? Not everyone does what Defoe does. There is so many players. Let's be honest. Who's heard that Sergio Busquets going out and going to these kids? Who's heard that? You know what I mean? I'm not saying I've seen most of the Liverpool team spend time in hospital through Christmas with kids. You know what I mean? They'll see a few videos with them all, and you can tell they're genuinely nice. But see how those relationships, like Defoe had, they're the 1 in a million. But It is that. It's 1 in a million.
It's the ones you don't see as more important than ones that you do see, because it's a publicity stunt.
But I feel like Defoe's one came to light because he was dying. Like, he was behind the scenes.
The thing is, Defoe's one was different because Defoe's one was, he done it all behind the scenes, and then the family asked if he could be taken out in the tunnel and onto the park with him. So then it had to become public knowledge, which was fine because Defoe wasn't bothered about that, but it was more about the relationship he had with the wee guy. Do you know what I mean? It's different. Whereas Rashford didn't have a certain attachment to a certain person. It was kids.
Just people.
It was his experience back in the day. He was the 1 in a million football player that made it and thought, no, fuck that. People who lived like me or living like how I was, it needs change, which is good. But no, his money went into that. Do you know what I mean? It was all investors and it was a government. It was a full team. Like, he never really lost a penny. You know what I mean? He might have put his own money in somewhere along the lines, but I would argue that, you know, the people that complain about it is because not an actual fair amount of money gets put back into the system.
Germany is completely different. I think Germany's in its own universe when it comes to football. Like, other than some of the stuff that Bayern will do, where they buy out managers and stuff like that, I've seen, like, Germany is football for the people, no football for the like that time where, like, you'll see celebrities in the box and stuff like that, and then, like, you'll have people paying £100 a ticket. You know what I mean? Like, if you go to Germany, you could go to Germany, have like £500 and go to a game in every stadium.
I find it bizarre that, like, players like Mesut Ozil, who was on like 300k a week at Arsenal, he sat on the bench for umpteen amount of time and set a bad example. Do you know what I mean? He was just there for the wage bill. He was there for the wage bill and nothing else. And none of that money that you know of went back into charity or, you know, nothing like that. So, you know, I do agree with what you say, Liam, in regards to the ones that give back, but it's a very rare occurrence that they do give back. And even when they do, it's minimalistic at the best. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to see another Bexy this year. I want somebody to go, you know what, like Ronaldo. Ronaldo doesn't need money. Do you know what I mean? I want him to just come out and go, right, there's a community centre in every city in Portugal. There's new football pitches all over Portugal. It affects me in no way, shape or form. I don't live in Portugal. But you know he's giving back and it's out of his own pocket. Now, he doesn't need to do that, but because he's got that much money, he just should. Like you say, you should feel obliged to do it because of the money you're on. Aye. So,
but also, I feel like it's percentages as well. It's like Bill Gates, the amount of money that he makes, if he dropped £500, it's not worth it for him to pick it up. If he keeps walking, he's making more money. Like, it's the percentages of what you make. Like, you think if we were to donate, like, say we were to donate $2,000, that's almost for either of us. That's most of your money gone. Like, if you had $2,000, that's all your money gone. So you're donating near enough 100% if you donate $2,000. You think a Messi donating $2,000? That's 0.00001. You know what I mean? Like, and it's about the percentages you're putting in. Like, I'd be willing to donate 5% of my money right now to charity. They could enjoy the 10 quid. You know what I mean? But, like,
the reason I'm going to go with Dylan on this, Liam, is because tax dodging shouldn't happen in today's era, and know the amount of money they're on. Do you know what I mean? See the amount of tax that they've dodged, right? See that amount of money that's mounted up that they then have to pay back, then a fine, potentially a prison sentence. See if they just says that amount of money that I dodged tax with, see if they just went, you know what, I'm going to put that into charity. Like, that can make a difference to millions of people's lives, whereas they try and dodge it for their own, line in their own pockets when they don't need to. And I know some people don't want to give back to the Spanish government, like, fine, whatever. It's all run by Real Madrid fans. Like, I get it. I get it from Messi's point of view, but at the same time, he's in a separate part. Do you know what I mean?
He's in Catalan. Like,
where he lives, has got his own government. So there's no excuses. I mean, that was just for him, for example.
Yeah. No, that's right.
He's the highest profile one. I think there's no higher profile tax dodging scam than Messi, but it goes up and down the spectrum of like the most famous footballers to the least famous.
Well, Neymar done it and got away with it because he moved to PSG at the perfect time.
And same with Xavi Alonso as well. He done the same. No, it's totally fair. I totally understand why you're going with there. I just wanted to go with the more left field shout, see if they would have to tell.
Is that your plan for the night? Go ahead and heating and coffee.
What's that?
Heating and benches in the church.
Heating and comfy seats.
That's actually a solid idea, by the way. I should have said that at the time. That would have been
I tell you
class.
what, you know, Rashford, if you're watching this, mate, right, take all your money out of the child's meals, right, and put it into churches because it will help Liam. There you go.
It would just help.
Listen, it would be a really comfy seat as well.
Fucking hold that, Rashford, mate. Get couches right across the fucking
So you
church.
need to install it in Scotland, by the way, no England.
Aye.
Yeah, I mean,
Fucking unbelievable, man.
Right, okay, it's back to
Sure,
me
again,
then.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm going to do music. Jamie,
Jamie.
what is your most hated thing about music?
Rock. No, I'm kidding. Rock music, man.
Rock, man.
The worst thing about music, right, is what it preaches.
I thought you were about to say my answer there. I was getting sick.
I'll need you to explain that a wee bit, but Dylan, what's yours?
How sensitive people are to the music genres, even though 10 years ago, like you said, it isn't even that long ago, it was normal. The stuff that I said was normal.
We're going down the exact same route, I believe. But anyway.
I thought that when I heard your answer.
Aye.
Well, looks like one of you still need to change. Does anyone have a coin?
I've got
So
a Harry Potter thing.
Dylan, is yours about the fact that people are sensitive to the idea of, like, people talk about their past and how they were brought up and the kind of stabbings?
Well, I was meaning, like, I was talking about Eminem, Tupac, Biggie, like their kind of time, like that time is like a time of you, and that time you weren't allowed to be soft. You know what I mean? Like Lil Pump wouldn't have made it that time. You know what I mean? Like the rappers nowadays.
Exactly what we were going to do. We were going to do hard as nails.
Right. Jamie,
You got a coin?
Tails.
Tails.
Tails never fails.
It didn't. Jamie wins. Dylan, you have to pick a new topic, but I'll let Jamie explain his point first.
Dylan, I'll go off the cuff if you want. I'm no para.
No. I'd say you just go for a new topic, then.
What?
I'd say you go for a new topic.
Oh, you want me to come off a full new topic?
Me and Jamie had the same answer, so we both would have got the right answer.
What it is, just give your third topic now and then choose another.
All right, fine then. Modern technology.
All right, okay.
I've got an answer for this.
Right.
So it's how the public fear any advancements as if iRobot is about to happen tomorrow.
What the fuck, man?
What's yours?
Exact same. Literally.
No,
how
right,
people
have to come with something different.
Did you mention 5G, sir?
Aye, fuck's sake. Right. Well, I'll go off the cuff with it. Right. So the worst thing is the mid to older generation not being accepting.
Okay. Right.
Still similar, but slightly different.
Right. Well, whilst you're thinking of your reasons why, Dylan, you explain yours a wee bit more in detail, please.
I just think that like this whole like cancer for 5G, any advancements, you've always got these like tinfoil hats, like just Leicester sitting in their house, just waiting for the. You know what I mean? No, it's like that fear of advancing, and like people are scared of being tracked and stuff like that. Like, but honestly, see if I'd embrace people being able to, not even people, robot, like the whole system being able to detect what you're doing on your internet. Because I don't want to live beside someone who watches stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's certain stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that should be a list. Like I feel like you should deserve to be in a list if you're watching certain stuff. You know what I mean? Like people should know you're.
Let's just go with that. Do you know what I mean?
You're living near people that's watching that. You've got kids. Imagine your next door neighbour. You've got kids. He's watching child porn and you don't even know. Like you know what I mean? It's a right that you deserve to have. And I feel like the whole integrating modern technology and like you're talking about, like you deserve to have. In America, there's all this stuff about keeping your network private and that. And I use VPNs and stuff, but like at the same time, I disagree with the idea of VPN. I just like to watch a certain show on a different country. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that you need to have everything hidden.
Do you not feel though, like Dylan, because more and more things are becoming integrated into our lives, we as humans are becoming maybe a wee bit too reliant on modern technology?
Well, the whole Wall-E argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that is to a degree, but I feel like also technology and fitness has got so well. Have you seen the football arenas that you get now? You can go into a room and kick a ball off a wall. You're taking free kicks, you're taking like penalties, you know what I mean? Like all this different stuff. You've got I feel like the idea of technology and sports especially has advanced so much to the point where like if you were to go to a sports centre now, advanced football sports centre, I watched one the other day and it was like all these training drills and stuff like that you'd normally do with like 20 people. You can go there by yourself, put your headphones in and go do these training drills. You know what I mean? And it's stuff that will really help you improve.
Aye, so like your point is like the good outweighs the bad in a certain extent.
It enhances players' careers and general fitness and well-being of the actual country that you live in. Like America I'm fucking backing up his point here. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it anyway. Like America, suffer from a high percentage of people being obese. With that being said, if what Dylan said, like imagine one of these centres were in every state, like
every city.
Like every city, whatever. Even one in every state, do you know what I mean? If you were willing to travel to something so and like technology so advanced and so amazing, eventually you would lose. Because the one thing that people hate about going to the gym is going to the gym and running on a treadmill because people find it so boring because there's no end game to it. You just keep running. I know you can watch Netflix, you can listen to music, but be all and end all is there is no end game. Whereas if you can go and practice free kicks or practice penalties or
sprints as well. Like there's like you're getting the ball and you're running up and like you do
and it tracks how fast you go, your acceleration, like that shit. It should be that's a pro rather than a con. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like your con of it is yes, robots could become a thing and start taking up random jobs, but it's never going to become that. Do you know what I mean?
You still need a coach to tell you what to improve. Doesn't matter if you're in one of these rooms. Like you still need your coach to say your finishing's fine. You keep practicing your finishing. Like you
fucking get Timo Werner that fucking coach in.
You know what I mean? No, like there still is a human aspect to everything. Like no matter what a computer tells you. Like,
and somebody still needs to be there to fix these computers when they eventually have a malware issue or whatever.
As we learned working in the
Aye.
So what's your argument going to be then, Jamie?
Well, I mean, it's his, let's be honest. But I mean, realistically, in the position we all work in now, we get a very, very high volume of the elderly customers. Even people between the age of 30 and 40 struggle still, and 40 to 50 and so forth. They come in and ask silly questions, and it's the lack of trying. It's the fear of doing something wrong.
Break it.
Yeah, I try to teach customers to just search something up on YouTube. Like it's such a basic thing.
It's the fear of doing something wrong or getting a big high bill. But what they forget is technology is going to be a part of the future as long as they're on the planet. Even when they go into Tesco's, you can literally do all your shopping online, pick up the little carton away you go. It's as simple as that. Like it's became such a part of our lives that has benefited many people. So for example, people like with disabilities and stuff, electric wheelchairs has technology in it. Like without that basic technology, they would struggle with their everyday life. Now, without YouTube, for example, their kids wouldn't be entertained when they learn as good as what they do. The one thing that always happens is they say the education system's fucked. Now, what helps is kids being able to go on YouTube and search up the randomest things and getting an answer and getting a video. So without that technology that they fear of and don't want in their life, it's their kids that are no benefiting. Like all 3 years have grown up in an industry, in an era where technology is pivotal. Like we all had a computer in school. Like there's now iPads being given to students at school.
Lucky bastards.
I know. But the reason being is
music
because
department was ridiculous like that. Like they'd have so much funding for music department because of that whole idea.
Aye. But it's the basic stuff that pisses me off. Like, for example, people who don't want to come in and use contactless because they just think
they don't believe in it. People
so often say,
I don't believe in direct debit. What do you mean you don't believe in direct debit? It's not necessary.
I saw a comment the other day that that doesn't have any direct debits. No companies have his bank details whatsoever, and he pays for everything still by check. I mean, like you're in 2021, you still pay by check for everything. Like, your life would be so much better if you just moved on from that.
It's the idea of people who don't use the basics, such as mobile banking. It's so useful. You know, if something happens and you lose $5,000 at your account, say you're an average, you know, say you're 60 years of age, you've got a pension, you're set, you've got 10 grand in the bank, it's constantly growing, you never really pay for much, and all of a sudden you lose £500, you're not going to notice it unless you go and get a statement out. Yeah. Now, the thing is, statements are becoming so inconsistent. Like, you go to an ATM, try and get a statement, the mini statement's never got paper in it. I know this because my mum still gets a statement for my dad's card that mobile banking isn't a thing on the account he's got. She goes to try and gets a statement. She needs to travel or still want to get a statement because a lot of these places don't replace the paper inside their ATMs because nobody ever uses it. So, like, it's just the simplest thing. So, like, for example, my mum could go into that account and realise that 12 grand's missing. But it was 2 years ago. And the bank aren't willing to help because it's been so long. They should have noticed, for example. But it's the elderly that need to embrace the idea of it. You know, I'm not saying cut all ties, you know, as in don't go to the bingo hall to play bingo anymore and start doing it on your phone. I'm not saying that, but just embrace the simple things of a smartphone. Learn it, don't be lazy, and understand that it's not out to get you. You know, I think they need to just accept the fact that people know your information regardless of you being willing to cooperate, because people know your information, they know where you live.
There's a reason why you need to put the details in for a credit check. It's to make sure it's that person,
exactly,
because they already know it.
We pull up credit checks for customers and they go, how do you know that? How do you know that question? It's like, because the government knows it. Like, it's common knowledge.
And then they shit themselves.
Aye, and it's like, that's the technology that we live in just now. Like,
it's a more secure world.
Oh, 100%, aye. But people just don't embrace the simplest things, like, you know, contactless payments. It's so, you know, I find it useful. But
I don't even take a card from me anymore because Google Pay.
It's so easy.
I had a broken card for a full year and a half. I just used my phone.
I don't know what my TSB card is. I know I lost my wallet and my TSB card in it. It's not contactless. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I've started requesting a card. It's been 3 months.
There's just no need for it, do you know what I mean?
It's just, for me, it's literally just something that I can lose, in my opinion.
That's a weird thing to think about, isn't it? That even wallets nowadays are becoming like almost pointless in a sense.
Your wallet is on your phone.
If you want a wallet, you get a phone case. You want a wallet, you literally get a phone case with a wallet in it. But then you'll have a whifter.
I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, both of these again made pretty decent arguments. I can't deny it. I think obviously you kind of shot yourself a wee bit in the foot, Jamie, and I do applaud you for trying to take a different route. I think Dylan had a wee bit more time to prep. I think his argument was slightly better.
It was just literally the same argument. Just you had to try age it up like 20 years.
Fucking back your own argument, you cunt.
I know.
So yeah, I'll give the point to Dylan there for that. And just to let you know, by the way, for next time, my Jamie's fucked off. Never mind.
Oh no, he's still there. I can see him in his window.
So what was that, Jamie? The light did need to go on before 10 o'clock, did it?
It's come back off and I fuck you.
No.
No.
Didn't require to go on, but I felt like I just wanted to.
There's no reason. There's plenty of sun outside.
Exactly.
Right, in your room there is, not in his fucking room there isn't.
There was shut.
Right. Anyway, yeah. Just so you know, though, my music has now changed to festivals. So once it comes back to me, you have time to think about what you want to make.
It's very unfair, Dylan, isn't it? Very unfair for you. Fuck 'em.
Right. Anyway, Dylan, it's your go.
Yeah.
What? You said come up with a new one. I've come up with a new one.
All right.
Wait, you doing yours straight away just now?
I'm saying we'll come back to mine later on, so you just have time to think about it as we're going on. But yeah, it's Dylan's go now. He's forgotten what his arguments were.
All right.
Wait, tell you, I've gone right down here for you.
Tell me the next. No, I've got it here. All right. Education.
All right. Who'd you want to go
The whole
first?
education system can feed from the very bottom of like nursery or up the way to like a 60-year-old who went to college.
Okay. Who'd you want going first?
Jamie.
I believe the worst thing of education is the way they're taught.
So I was like, education is education.
Do you mean in the sense of what you learn or like how they're taught?
The way they're taught, how they're taught.
Okay.
So like in terms of a different environment would help.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. I mean, mine's is quite stereotypical, I won't lie, but it's sort of what you learn and the important stuff that maybe you're not taught at school.
I'm gonna let you know. There's no more than 5 hours you can talk about how to learn income tax or how to take out a mortgage. So I'm gonna need a really good argument here.
Right,
I really don't like that argument.
All right, fine then. I'll change it then.
On you go.
No, don't change it.
No,
Keep it.
no,
You know.
No,
I want you to keep it. No, fuck that. I want you to keep it. That's an easy point, bruv.
I know it's an easy point, but if he's not, he's going to be a dick about it. I'm not going to take it.
No. If you can convince me, that's fair enough. It's just
I was just going to make the point that basically I'm an idiot and I was never been taught this, and I've never had someone to teach me this kind of stuff.
I agree it should be some sort of like course, but I don't think it should be education.
Why not?
No, you need to be educated in it one way or another.
Yeah. No, but I feel like it should be a crash course kind of thing. See how the whole education system, like
no, but like
you can't fit 5 hours worth of learning about tax, income tax, how to take out a mortgage and all that. It's stuff that you can learn in an hour.
No, but it's not stuff that you can learn in an hour though, because there's so much shit that you need to take on. The point, like think about it this way, right? In schools in Scotland.
So wait, are you sticking with it? Because I'm the one.
Stick with it, because
if you're sticking with it,
no, fine, fuck it, I'll stick with it. But my point is that you're arguing with here, right? Is in high schools in Scotland, right? I don't know if it's the same in your school, Don, but in ours, like me and Jamie's one, like S1 to S3, like you aren't like choosing your subjects, you're given subjects to sort of take. And one of them
you're given every subject.
Yeah, and one of them is like fucking business studies. But you know, we were learning about, you know,
that was an optional course for us. It was optional.
Okay, right. But in our like business class, which was mandatory, we had pointless shit like, right, okay, we want you to go off and sell like fucking 5 pens and pencils to cunts out in the hallway, like stuff like that. Great, okay, you learn a salesman's act, you learn like how to be a salesman, but I don't learn how to fucking pay my taxes. Like, what use is that? Taxes is and it deliberately is one of the most complicated things in the world because they're trying to rinse you for as much money as you can, which is fine. Everyone needs to pay their bit, as you mentioned beforehand. But it's so overly complicated, and I personally can't understand it. Now, I know.
Like, think of this: like every day for a week, you go to English. Every day for like a year, you go to English class. Could you do the same with learning about tax? You couldn't do it. My point is, like, a week-long course on it, fair enough. But see how this whole idea of from a whole year of learning about tax and stuff like that, I don't think it works.
Can I put it to you this, like, Liam? Let me put it to you like this. As a young kid at school, right, where you're into football, you're into birds, you know, you're just there for your mates you're just having a laugh. You're at school for a laugh. High school was a laugh. And they were trying to teach you about income tax and how to pay your taxes. No way you're taking it in at a school environment.
Right, okay, but to back up your argument as well, we were also fucking learning about, like, you know, times tables and fucking fractions and shit like that. I never gave a shit about that either, but guess what? Because it's forced into your head every fucking day for years on years, where you have to take tests on it, you have to learn everything about them. You're not saying you're a fucking expert in it, but you have a general idea of how it works.
I couldn't tell you, it was pile drived into us algebra at school.
Yeah.
I still couldn't tell you what fucking subject it was in.
Well, the maths, but
But
I'm not being
but
funny,
algebra
though,
is
right?
applicable in like everything pretty much.
But I'm not being funny though, right? But you know, as someone like, you know, yourself and me that didn't really give a shit that much about school, right? Things are forced into you every day. You will pick up some things here or there. I'm not saying 100% you would learn that well if it was taught to you every day, but at least if it's attempted to be taught to you and you have someone that's given the best way possible to do it, you might actually learn something from it. There's no point in saying, oh, well, kids aren't going to be interested, don't fucking even bother. Then what's the point in sending them to school in the first place? Kids aren't arsed anyway to go to school, but they have to do it.
The difference is you can make maths fun. You can make English fun in first, second, and third year. And then it starts to get a bit serious, right?
Right.
You cannot.
Two maths games.
Aye. Yeah. You cannot possibly make paying tax in the real world, in real life, later on in life, where it's something you don't want to worry about when you're at school. You cannot make that fun as a subject.
But that's the point you need to try and drill into their fucking heads. It's not meant to be fun, but if you don't pay this, you're either going to fucking jail or, you're going to end up with a bill so large that you're going to be in debt for the rest of your life.
But you never got to talk about taxes at school and you earning a bill. You've not got a bill or debt and fucking that's can't come back from it.
Right. And Jamie, do you know why that is? It's because I've earned so little over my life that I've not yet got to the point yet where I can physically.
Wait, so why teach you about that in school if you're never going to use it until later on in life?
Because I'm thick as shit and I will only ever do jobs in my life where I make minimum wage doesn't mean that someone that actually has ambitions and wants to go on further shouldn't be taught this because they will need it at some point in their life.
I agree with you, but this is the point that I'm trying to make of it should be a later in life factors. Like imagine it's City Glasgow College. Every month you could enroll in a week-long course that would teach you all this stuff.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean, like a later in life subject. Fair enough, you pay £100 to get taught all of this stuff. That's why like I get the idea, but I think it should be taught to you later on in life when you realise when it hits you, this is what I should know.
Well then why isn't it? Well, okay, I get in the sense that you won't do it then because you can't say, right, it'll be a class that's taught to you in 6th year in case, students...
That's a fair enough thing. If in 6th year, it could be another thing. Like a 5 course after 4th year, when you choose your subjects, it could be a thing you choose.
Yeah, like, so, well, not even that, though. So, like, in our school, I don't know again about yours, Dylan, but in our school, when we got to 5th and 6th year, we had to take mandatory, like, what do you call
classes,
it? Extracurricular ones.
That add into photography and stuff in them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So why don't they just make that there then?
I think that would be a fair enough argument, but see how the whole idea, because a lot of people will act like, why do we learn English and maths when we should have got taught how to do
No,
this?
no, I'm not saying we bin those subjects off. I'm just saying potentially remove.
But the general argument is
in 5th year, make it an extracurricular class. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like just add it in. So like,
because then that gives you the
life skills could be an easy life skills is the easiest thing, and also the idea of getting to do it at college. But like, see how this like idea of like, why do you learn about numbers? Numbers is literally the language of the universe.
I'm not saying bin all this shit off. I'm not saying what we learned in school was rubbish and that we should only be learning this. I just think that we should have, either at school or in further education or some point, it should be offered to you as a free course, because guess what? You have to deal with it in later life.
It's a part of life.
It should be taught to you in life.
What other parts do you think though? Like obviously you're talking about tax and stuff like that. What other parts? Because there is other aspects of it. Like,
yeah, so I mean, like, personal
different
finances, you see as well, like a lot in today's society about how we're taught to, get involved in things like crypto and things like that. Not saying like potentially have someone advise you only bet your money in crypto, but maybe have like an expert come in and tell you about the risks and rewards and how you do it if you are interested in something like that. How
it's
to
the
get
stock
credit
market,
card.
like crypto is the modern day stock market.
Yeah, like how to deal in stocks, how does credit cards work?
All this information can be found out on like YouTube and Google.
No,
I've got books learning about crypto. I've got books on audios. I've got audiobooks that I've like listened to try and learn about crypto. But it's one of those things that is a big course. It is a lot of stuff. Like my 3 hours of listening doesn't even talk about it.
Would you rather not then at this point then at least have known the very basics going into it, so you have a slight head start and you know what to begin with and you know what to at least look into?
See, I feel like I've got a different perspective than you and Jamie though. Like I think Jamie knows this. I don't know if you know this, but see if I enjoy something, it's something I will soak up every bit of information about something that I enjoy. So it's like I'm either all in or all out.
That's the same for me as well though, but like it's back to that thing of you're not necessarily meant to enjoy this, but it's kind of like tough shit. This is a part of your life growing up, whether you want it or not. You can try
agree with the taxi side, yeah.
You can try and teach it in a fun way, But in some way, shape or form, you have to learn about it. It doesn't matter if it comes in first year of high school, 6th year of high school, further education, you need to learn about it at some point. And I think it would be very beneficial if things like this were taught in school.
So put it to you like this: if you do have a course on it right at school, so say they integrate it, and it's a 5th year or a 6th year optional class, right? Now, let's say they do. Would you then have a test or an exam at the end of it to show that you've passed that course?
It's modules you need for that stuff.
Yeah.
Extra
so it'd be like
modules.
Yeah, so it'd be like coursework that you do. It's not necessarily like an exam. I mean, it would be whatever suits best. I think tests in a certain way are redundant anyway. I think it should probably be more based on coursework anyway. Like if you show throughout the year progression and that you
know how to do it,
that you're getting a general understanding of it, then you should pass. Sort of thing.
That should have been your statement, though.
Well, that's what I mean.
You go through.
Yeah, go on. I've been rambling more enough.
No, it's good. I prefer talking about something more serious than talking about heated seats.
That was a cracking argument.
His argument kind of leads on to mine. So, I mean, in general, the way they're taught is in high school in particular, right? More so than, primary, because obviously primary school, you're bumming seat from kind of 9 till your lunch and break, then lunch, and then home time. Do you know what I mean? So you're kind of in the one class, you never change. But more so in high school, you're going from class to class and then break, class to class, break, blah blah blah. Constantly your day's broken up by either a new period starting or break or lunch. So you're constantly on the move. The way you're taught in each class changes 6 times a day if you had 6 periods. Now, it's obviously going to be difficult in order to keep them engaged for that length of time, but the way they're taught is so poor to the point where you can be so disinterested and you learn nothing. I take it off personal experience. So, for example, the only class I would actually give a fuck about was the ones that I enjoyed. And it wasn't because the teacher helped you. It was because you genuinely enjoyed what you were, doing. So the more hands-on for me, obviously, was like PE, enjoyed football, and then going into woodwork because it was hands-on. You got to fucking what a fucking what
that was an absolute fucking riot, that class.
What a class, man.
That was a fucking riot.
I do feel like the teacher has a massive impact because geography was something I have a really good passion for geography. It's because my teacher literally was dyslexic and stuff like that. He'd struggle with handwriting, something that I related to, but he didn't. He literally had this mentality of I don't give a fuck if I'm dyslexic or that. I know a lot of shit and I'm going to teach you a lot of shit. He just teaches all the stuff you needed to know, and he done it in a way that wasn't even fun, but it was informative, and he taught you about stuff that's actually interesting. He taught interesting stuff because every subject could be interesting. He just taught the interesting way.
So teachers they do 4 years at uni or whatever, and as soon as you get that bit of paper, you're accepted into schools, right? But no one of them can teach the same or well.
Yeah.
Not everybody's got the social skills, and that's something that's not looked at for schools, if you ask me. Because I could go, like, my English teacher was so boring and wasn't informative at all. And it was, you're either here to work or you're not here at all. And she would put you at the class. It was as simple as that. But whereas you went to maths, and you know what my maths class was like, it was a fucking shambles. But we still learned about stuff while playing cards. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Taught us
that translates into your work.
He taught us what we needed to know while we were playing cards. Do you know what I mean? We would just be flinging down a card every so often and then listen to what he was saying. And he would relate real life situations into maths. So, for example, like he would be taught about, if in rugby, if you've got this, how much percentage of the field is this, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't personally give a fuck about rugby, but he made it into real life situations.
So then Jamie walked out because he couldn't give a fuck.
Do you know what I mean? He made it into real life situations. And I'm not saying that he went, if fucking Philip Bland never had a red card in his life, how much percentage of that is, you know what I mean? It was nothing like that. But in general, he made it into real life situations. He related to you. And it wasn't a case of you need to be fucking finger on your lips staring at the teacher the whole time, do you know what I mean? Which is what most classes are. You know what I mean? You kind of have a chat to people. There's no downtime. It's work for the minute you go in the door and come back out. And teachers are so disinterested in you, and all they care about is getting their job done, and you don't learn enough.
Do you think potentially, Jamie, like, I know you're saying obviously about kids being disinterested, but if you're in school, right, like 5 times a week, right, and you're saying, like you said there, you've got 6 different periods each day, you're learning about 6 different things. The max you're in a class for is 50 minutes. I mean, you're not really...
No, double periods, 120 minutes.
Well,
okay. You never had double maths, Chloe, did you?
I had double German and double maths in the same day. I hated it, by the way. I went home every day a bit to cry. Double German, double maths.
Well, I mean, that might take away from my argument then, but I was going to say then, do you think potentially if, like, you obviously had, like, a teacher they enjoyed, like you said, but you'd done, like, the class for, like, you maybe instead of learning 6 things in one day, you'd learn about, say, maybe 3 or 2 sort of things.
No.
It burns you out too much.
I would say a double period in the morning is no use because people are still waking up.
I think it's the double period in the afternoon that was the killer for me. Like, you're just waiting for the bell to go down.
Just quickly, I'll say myself, like, I don't know what it was on a Monday that I done, but I know on a Monday I need to go into maths for maths for my first period when I come back for lunch. Then after that, this is a pain in the arse. One door down, you could walk into my German class, but you had to walk all the way around because of a stupid one-way system. Like you go on a 5-minute detour because of a one-way system the school applied. Stupid.
Yeah.
Then I get to the German class.
I think that sounds it.
And it was 2 periods of German, so it was literally 3 periods straight after lunch. One was a double period of German, which was
you had 3 periods after lunch?
That was on my long day, so you'd have 2 long days, 1 normal day, 2 short days.
I mean, to be fair, we went to the short and long system after you left, so it was a pain in the arse.
Well, no, so beyond the whole one-way system thing, right, in general...
That was mongoed, but yeah.
Aye. Let's say you come in on a Tuesday, right, and...
Just conjuring super noodles.
Hey!
Pot noodle, come on now, super noodle. Shut up, fool. Shut up! Let's say you come in on a Monday morning, right?
Sunday.
Aye, and you go straight into double math. Like, if you have a fun teacher, that gets you buzzing for the rest of the day.
Aye.
Whereas if you come in and you've got fucking Miss McCabe in English and she's fucking dull and shite, you're getting no fucking...
Pap.
Aye. You come back for your break and you're just going to fucking hate it.
It is mad, isn't it, like, how different it is, like, school is to, like, work. Like, see, like, if I, like, see, like, at work now, like, say if I come back from, like, lunch, I've, like, got 3 hours, it's like, it's only 3 hours. If I still had 3 hours left to school, I'd be wanting to fucking throw myself out the window.
I know, I feel like you understand your time off and you appreciate it more because it is 9 till 5, it's not 9 till 3. you appreciate that. Like, you're in so much longer, like, only 3 hours.
Like,
in school, it's only 8 hours.
School feels like about twice as long as work does for me.
It's mad, isn't it?
But you choose what you work as, you don't choose. It's how fun you what you do in school.
But in general, right, to kind of wrap it up, if teachers were showing social skills rather than just having the degree of 4 years and how to work with kids, it maybe be easier. Plus, take a leaf out of the whole college way of teaching. Like, it's so much more beneficial, informative. You know, you're allowed to speak to your teacher on a personal level. It's no this kind of different teacher fucking constantly. And, you know, if they know the swearing aspect, know the swearing aspect, like, obviously, you know, you don't want to be able, like, you know, if you can be able to walk into your class and say, oh, fuck's sake, or whatever, and get pulled up for it, it's a bit embarrassing, especially if you're in 5th and 6th year. But, no, for that side of things, it's like more... If you could speak to your teachers on a personal level rather than, you know, being just a bum in the seat of 30 other students in the one class, it's just a bit...
Why do you, like... obviously you went to college kind of like for a wee bit there, Jamie. Did you feel like you got on a lot more with your teachers in college than you did at school?
It was a good laugh. Like, I actually enjoyed it.
Why is that though then? Because like these people, I know it's obviously because it's more on a down to earth basis. Do you think that would be the one thing, like if all schools were like, right, it's more a personal level, like you said? Do you think a lot
he
more
had social skills?
Yeah, but like, because obviously, like, it seems like more college and uni teachers have that compared to high school teachers. Do you think that's part of the way that they're taught? Or
I think it's the way they talk to adults like they're adults, you know what I mean? They talk to adults like they're kids, but they're professors.
No, that is right, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But my point is, why do you think then there is such a difference between high school teachers and college teachers?
Right,
because they also live in the same place.
Probably because of their age.
I think probably because they can deal with someone who's older than them. You know what I mean? But a college teacher could get someone who's older than them in.
Yeah.
You're never gonna. You know what I mean? Like he's just gained a respect for everyone in the class equally. Whereas the teacher, one minute she'll be teaching 11-year-olds that are fucking throwing stuff at the whiteboard. Next minute she's teaching 17-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like it is. I feel like because you're just constantly teaching adults, see you in college. If you fuck about, you get told to fuck off. In school, you get a punishment. You need to like do lines and stuff like that.
Do lines, mind that?
Well, it was always a funny enough.
Did you ever get made to do lines?
Oh fuck!
I did.
I only remember it being a punishment once.
I don't. That's not 8 lines all day, every day, man. Fuck's sake.
Snorted lines all day.
What day lines were you talking about,
Dan? You know.
Aye, my man. But it's probably the age barrier, which is fair, but they need taught social skills and how to deal with younger kids.
I do find it really strange, though, that is obviously there is such a difference because they obviously learn at the same places. You think they would learn the same social
I think it's on the job that changes you.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I had my German teacher, one of them. Nicest teacher on the planet. She just could not teach you, but she'd always speak to you like your kids. You know what I mean? Like that high pitched voice, like "Okay, children, we're doing this today." But she'd say "guys," she'd be like, "Okay, guys, we're doing this today." And she'd come over. She'd come over like putting like I don't know how to describe it. It was very like so you don't get it. But it was she was nice. She just was unintentionally condescending. It was like she seemed like a primary school teacher who'd ended up in high school that day. And it was unintentionally condescending. Like she just wasn't as good as being. She would have fit in perfectly in like a primary school. Like it would have made so much sense. And I don't doubt she probably came from one.
Aye, that's probably just a social aspect.
In defence, I suppose, with the high school teachers, like out of all of them, like high school, primary, and uni, high school is probably the most difficult one to teach at because, like I said, of the age differences and that.
What would you say? Is this nursery, high school, primary, or college?
Primary, easy.
Primary.
I think nursery season's nursery would be.
No. Kids will be green. Yeah, your kids will be like fucking shit everywhere.
Shitty nappies, fucking.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Me and Mitchell worked in a nursery for a week. Me and Mitchell done our work experience in a nursery. Me and Mitchell.
Who let you around, Wins?
No. Right, fucking wrap this topic up anyway, Dylan. Fuck's sake.
Especially with your drone.
Alright, Jamie, you win. Yeah, I'm not even lying. That was a 50-50 there when you realise
that. Do you know what? It's fine. I mean, I will say he's the one that called you pedo first, though.
I know, but like, you embraced it. You embraced it. I do think he would have won.
Yeah, that's fair. Right, Jamie? What's your next one?
You want to tell me?
Well, it's either pride or pension, or have you given up on pension?
Nah, let's go with pride.
Pride, okay. Yes, Mr. Hart, continue.
I don't think it's so my statement is I don't have any issues with pride. It's just the other issues in the world I feel like I've overtaken it because how accepted it is.
Okay.
Good, by the way.
My issues is like when companies like every sort of when it comes to like Pride Month every single year and they just like post like their like icon and a fucking like pride flag pretending they cared.
Skittles as well.
Yeah, it's just like they pretend they care when in
although Skittles is quite iconic.
Right, Liam, just quickly, right? No, in fact, no, it's fine.
You want me to go elaborate?
No, I want Liam to go first. Elaborate on that. In fact, I'm going to put a counterpoint to you real quick, though, right?
Me,
So you've said that they come in and they don't give a fuck. They just put it there as a publicity stunt.
yeah.
Look at it the other way. Did they not come in and do it in Pride Month to show their support?
No, I'm not denying that. Like, so for example, there will definitely be people in these high-end companies that, you know, support the acts. Like 99% of the people do, and they themselves are, you know, gay, bi, or, you know, trans, you know, and they want
Anything they'll ever.
Yeah, and they're happy, and they're, you know, they're maybe happy to see their company put in a lot of change. But my point to you is, you never hear like these companies fucking slopping. Like, you never hear these companies like talking about these issues like outside of like the month. It's always like they whap out the flag at the start of the month. They say a couple of speeches like during the very start of the month, and then at the very end of the month, on the very last day, guaranteed the flag's gone. Not an issue is raised again until like the very end. Until
it is Pride Month.
Yeah, but
it's no Pride year.
No, and that's fair. But my point being is, I think if they really did care, they would obviously like mention some issues going forward throughout the year. They wouldn't just leave it all for 1 month, unless it's a publicity stunt.
So what issues do you refer to?
Well, like, so for example, I won't go into too much detail, obviously, but like in older workplaces that I worked in, there used to be like, there were certain members of staff that used to accuse like of bullying because of their sexuality. Dylan, for fuck's sake.
Dylan, mute your mic, fuck's sake, you cunt.
He's got me to do this at 8:15 when I just got in the house. You have patience.
Yeah, if you'd have to slurp it, fucking hell.
Fucking mute your mic, you cunt.
No, but like, so for example, in previous workplace, people would complain from like managers that they were getting bullied because of like their sexuality, right? As a result, the company would then go on and basically report about how, you know, great they've been doing, and put these same bosses stand there with the flag, sort of saying, we really care about all this, when in reality, behind closed doors, they're actually bullying their staff.
You still upset they've done that to you?
This is a small minority, I believe, because, for example, in these big companies, right? Now, let's just take Amazon, for example, right? In fact, no, let's go with Microsoft. Bill Gates, one of the richest men ever, right? He himself is of a generation who does not accept LGBTQ plus, whatever it is. Now, he doesn't accept Pride because his generation, he's grew up as male and female, end of story, right? It's probably hard enough for him to accept gays, never mind the rest of it, right? Now, I know because I've had the older generation in my family who don't agree with it, and I'm sure you're the same. You know, there'll be one person in the family that's like, nah, it's a lot of rubbish.
The black sheep,
Yeah. So Bill Gates has definitely got people in his family who are a part of this community, right?
Yeah, right.
So yes, maybe somewhere down the line, fucking 700 spaces down the line of his employees,
right,
that one person says something out of turn. But for him to then publicly come out with his company's name and go, this person has been sacked for this, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
Why just leave it in the dark, right? Because there's no need to come out and go, oh, you know, my manager of this department said that this person was gay and it, you know, destroyed their feelings, hurt their feelings, whatever. There's no need to publicly come out and say it. Just deal with the situation. That's why you've got a HR department. They get rid of the person because it's unacceptable to do it, and that person feels more at ease. That's why there's things like speak up or reach out, you know what I mean, in certain companies for this sort of behaviour. There's no need to make it public when you know. So you go on, you support Pride Month, right?
Yeah.
3 months down the line, if something happens, there's no need to bring it back up. Like, let's just let it simmer, get dealt with within the company, and that's it done. Do you know what I mean?
I'll be honest, I don't really know how this relates to my point though, sorry. Like,
no, you're going on a bit like people being bullied in the workplace for, and these are the situations that could arise, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but my point is obviously, like, I just think for a lot of companies, and I'm not saying it's for all, I'm just saying for a lot of these people, they just do not give a shit. And if that's your true belief, that's fine, but don't, like, you know, one time a year change the color of your like profile status on Facebook, you know, upload like the gay pride flag as like your company's brand, and then a month later fuck off and then just never bring up an issue to do with it again. if like you'll see as well, like with certain companies, like they'll never mention any issues they're having, and that's fair enough if they are genuinely having them. But then you'll see like certain companies go on about like in June, like when Pride Month comes about, like, oh, we've done X, Y, and Z for the community this month. Like, that's great. What are you
man,
doing?
your
The
chair's
other,
squeaking like fuck. Stop moving.
and they'll just be, and they'll
Fucking
just be
honestly.
they'll just be sort of saying, like they'll just leave it all until like that month before making any changes. So, in my opinion, just because they don't care. Like, see, like I believe, right, say if they genuinely did care, they would deal with issues throughout the year. And I'm not saying they are necessarily doing that, but they only ever speak about it during this month. And that's because they know it's best for publicity, and that's all they ever do it because of.
So do you think, like, let's say, for argument's sake, you come out next year and you fancy being bisexual, right? Let's just say, right?
Okay.
You've done a Schofield. You're like, nah, you know what? I've had a taste of women. Let me try the men, right?
Right.
Let's just say that for argument's sake. Now, your company you work for now, right? We'll not name them, right? But let's say, for example, your manager takes a piss at you for it, right? Now, it's July. Pride Month's over. But, it was way back. You don't need to worry about it now. But you go... No, but you go and you go to the higher up in your company, your speak out or your reach out, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
You say, look, this has happened, right? They come in, they investigate it, and your manager gets sacked.
Right.
So they've done right by you. They've done right
Yeah.
by the company. What's the need for them to bring it up?
I'm not saying name and out and shame the person unless they've truly obviously done something despicable. My point is that if they're not, it just looks like they're not willing to necessarily help these people on any other month of the year other than June. It just looks like that they don't give a shit because they only make their intentions clear 1 month a year. And I get that it's obviously a month. It's a month thin. But you never see them talk about any of these issues throughout the year or any sort of progressive things that they've done throughout the year. Like, say, for example, like they might sort of bring up, say something like, in the last year, we've had, 2,000 new employees who are transsexual. Say like that happens, right? If that came out in November, wouldn't probably do anything for publicity. So guess what? They'll wait till June before publishing it. So even though it's a positive thing, they're waiting their best opportunity to get the publicity out of it, showing that they don't actually give a fuck.
It's the same for Christmas. Like, literally no company cares about Christmas.
Well,
they care about money.
Obviously.
But like,
no,
but what I mean is like everything is about a brand. Like, if you're looking at something subjectively, no one really cares about a lot. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to go into but I don't care what sexuality you are. But people do stuff to seem like a good person.
Yeah.
Let's look at it for the point he's just made, right? So Christmas, why would they talk about that in May? Do you know what I mean? It's just because it's not that month. So it's the same for Pride. Like, you when they bring it up,
but you're
6 months down the line.
But like you're gay, obviously 24/7. You're not just gay 1 month a year sort of thing.
Granted, but right. So in November, you've employed since June to November, you've employed 2,000 new, Pride fucking whatever they are. Whether it's I mean in the sense like whether they're gay or trans or that.
Worded perfectly.
Nah, you know what I mean. So let's just say
you fucking meant.
Let's just say you've employed 2,000 more gay people since then, right?
Yeah.
Why in November would you come out and go, we've employed 2,000 more gay people?
Why not?
Because you will come together in June when everybody else is
and
report it and say, look, we have employed this amount. And all it is to tick a box for diversity.
Right.
So I don't disagree with your point, but what I'm saying is your main point was they come together once a month to show their support and then they don't give a fuck after it. It's not the case. It's a case of...
it's not. I don't even think like they give a fuck at all. Which, if they don't, okay, I don't think it's great that you don't.
Who is they though? You're talking about like a very specific thing. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, right. I'm just using like bigger corporations as an example because obviously, if you're a small firm, you'll have a minute amount of staff, and you will probably, if you're a good employer, care about those problems and care about those people that you employ. If you're Amazon or something with 200,000 employees, you probably couldn't give less of a fuck about them. which is why they all get treated so badly. But guess what? Come June, whap out the flags, paint everything all sparkly and glittery and pretend like you give a fuck. I'm just saying that the thing that annoys me about it is, look, if you don't give a fuck, I'm not saying it's great, but don't try and make out that you're this great big positive influence that will make changes throughout the year to help these people. If the only time you give a fuck and will make these positive changes is one time a year. As Dylan was saying, it's not fucking Christmas. This is a thing that happens all out throughout the year, and it's an issue that happens throughout the year that needs to be resolved on the day that it happens, not necessarily just in fucking June because that looks good for the gram.
Can I explain my point?
Aye.
What was my point?
Point?
My issue is see how I feel like the whole LGBTQ plus community is at a comfortable point right now, and the people who get it hardest as transgenders, no doubt, people who are transgender do get it harder than if you're gay or a lesbian, you know what I mean? But I've went through it where I've had no money to buy dinner that night. Why is there no a month for giving to charity for homeless kids? Why is that a month for something that's widely accepted now? You know what I mean? Imagine how much good you could do if every kid in Britain was it when they do those charity runs, you know what I mean? Every so often they'll do it where a church will raise money and give money to kids. Imagine that was a month thing, you know what I mean? And you do get it for Easter, you do get it for this, you do get it for that, but just 1 month to try supply long-term goods like cans of soup and stuff like that you can get all year round, so that for that 1 month you could generate enough food to feed at least 50% of the kids. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff that's necessary that's not done, and then you get something like LGBTQ, but it's at the point where I don't think of anyone differently if they're in a you know what I mean? There's no I
think it's socially accepted now.
Yeah, but I think in your defence, Dylan, though, back to something that Jamie was mentioning earlier, and I know it's more of a religious issue than anything, but obviously he mentioned that he's got a mate who's gay that's also Muslim, though, right? But see, I don't even know who it is.
I slapped and then I was like, oh no.
But that's the thing, though. It is widely accepted, thankfully, here and places like most parts of America and in Europe and that. You get certain places in the world where it's just not accepted at all.
I just feel
I totally agree. I totally agree with you, though. Yes, there should be these issues that should be raised more regularly, right? And I don't necessarily think that just because it's Pride Month doesn't also mean that it can't be helping out the homeless for this month or helping out abuse victims that month. I'm just you can also do things at the same time. It doesn't necessarily. Because the unfortunate thing is, we live in a world where there's so many issues. They're not just 12. We can't just have
Holocaust Memorial Month is another serious one. The three main ones that I can think of, four if you include Christmas, because that's reserved for something different. You've got Christmas, you've got Holocaust Memorial, you've got Black Lives Matter Month, and you've got Black History Month, and you've got Gay Pride Month, and it's all these months. How many more do you get? And that's the thing. I feel like there's so much pressing matters that people need to open their eyes and realise stuff that's going on. And people are just so blinded to they feel entitled to their own month. And if you want your own month, you want your own year, that's fine. But see how when other matters are going on, it's more serious. I hate the fact that more attention the spotlight can't be shared. And I feel like it's quite a bad mentality of so many people in gay pride are so accepted and they've had no real issues, and they're there saying that they've been diverse their whole life.
Is that not maybe the thing of I was trying to say, sorry though, obviously there's more than 12 issues a year, so you can't just have one for each month a year.
You can't have every month being a thing. You can't have every month being a thing.
That's the thing though. So shouldn't it just be a case of months should maybe double up? So you're saying, it might be Pride Month, but also might be, help the homeless this month.
Nah. It shouldn't be a month. Why isn't it be a month?
I think it should just be a thing.
Aye, make it just make it a thing. It's just something that's accepted in general.
Look,
it's not something that me and Dylan. In fact, Dylan. I've worked over the course of my spell working. I've worked with 3 people that's been gay, and they're still 3 of my closest pals. I would do anything and that's needed for them. They don't get treated differently. No, you're thinking of one that I'm not thinking of. that one can go to fuck. That's for all reasons, but
Just for clarity's sake, yeah, not because I'm gay.
no, he's not even gay.
He's just weird.
Aye, he's straight, but he's just weird. Straight fucking weird. That's what he is. But in general, like, why, like, and these people that I speak to now, they don't celebrate Pride Month because they think it's a farce. There's no need for it because they've felt accepted their whole life. Do you know what I mean? It's people who feel like they're entitled to something they're just genuinely not is where the issue lies. Like, heroes get one day, you know, and
Who's died for it?
Aye, and these cunts have died for them to now, you know, you're talking their grandfathers, fathers have all died over the years fighting wars for them, for this to be in this present day celebrating the fact that they love cock. Like, that's the be all and end all, right? Is their fathers have fought.
I can't be arsed. I can't be fucking.
They've fought way back in the day
But
for them to
that's
now have a whole month to celebrate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they'll not celebrate the fact that their family fought for them to have the day.
But Jamie, that's not the point. Yes, there should be a fucking month for soldiers. There should be a month for help the homeless, right? I'm not saying there shouldn't be these things. It should all be included in that. Yeah.
No, there shouldn't be a month for it. There should just be more scope.
What, a day like for it is what you're
saying.
Aye,
so like Pride should have maybe 10 days. Help the Heroes should maybe have 10 days.
Right.
And then leave it at
that's
that.
fine. I agree with that in that sense. It should all be split over equally.
Aye.
So you met Allan?
That's fine.
No. No. I'm going to go with Liam on the basis. Hear me out. So, Liam.
Can I have a counter argument? You didn't let me put a single counter argument into Liam.
There was no need because I've done it for you.
All right. I was a counter argument. Skittles campaign is really good.
Right.
It's just
I'll rest my case.
Right.
I don't even know what it is, but okay. I don't even.
No, the only reason I'm going with Liam on this is because he needed to fight to the hill about his, whereas your one, I agreed with on the basis that we both went through it. Now, Liam's one, right, I don't agree with the idea of they change it for 1 month and then they forget about it, because that's not what happens. But he makes a valid point that maybe it should be in November time, they should bring it and say, look, we've done this, or we've done this to show our support. You know what I mean? Let's not, and then even if they, put it as, let's not celebrate Pride just in June. Let's just celebrate it in general. We've employed 50,000 more bisexual workers. Do you know what I mean? So that's the reason I'm going with him, is because it should be based on the whole year and no something like his takes it away from being a month rather than a whole year situation. But Liam, they don't just date for the 1 month.
Right.
Never happens.
However, though, I do appreciate you went by the rules of the game, so thank you. Right. Festivals, gentlemen. My final topic.
This is very unfair for Dylan.
Why is it unfair for
festival?
Dylan?
Because he's never been to one.
Well, he can just say they're shite full stop if that's his argument.
I know, but what's my argument then? I've never been to one. Are you going to give that the win?
Do you want me to go
I mean,
first?
you can say why.
You can go first, Jimmy.
It's quite serious. It's quite obvious. It's just drugs.
Well, you
See,
don't
that
like
was
that
mad.
there are drugs, or...
The topic. That was
No.
The worst thing about it is drugs.
All right. I mean, you're an avid drug taker yourself, so what's the issue with them?
We'll find out after. Right, Dylan, you got one? I can anticipate this, to be honest with you.
Well, I didn't fucking know, did I?
I'd say shit bands always performing.
Shite
See, a
bands.
lot of the festivals I've seen, unless it's like all these fucking shit fucking artists show up, man, fucking old shite. That's the only thing I've got to say. And I wouldn't even be able to back it up. I wouldn't even be able to back it up because I've seen like 2 fucking lists of fucking tracks.
Right. Why haven't you been to a festival then? For do you have a specific reason why you won't go?
Well, mostly for Jamie's reason, I don't drink or anything, so I feel like it's the wrong environment to see how, to put it into perspective. Obviously, you've got transmitting that at Glasgow Green. See how when that was on, I literally listened. I could hear the performances when I was at Celtic. When I was at the pitches beside it, like when I was at the pitches beside it, I'd had so much more fun going to football than I would have gone there. It's like there's always something better in my mind that I could do.
Aye, so you just think they're overrated personally?
I don't even think they're overrated. I think if that's your kind of thing, yeah, but it is also encouraging so much stuff. Like, it's encouraging so much of the worst stuff about natural people. You know what I mean? I mean, Jamie's point, but also like people are literally there fighting for days and days. Like you'll see people in the mud who probably like have a chance of dying of hypothermia, like they pass out in the mud. You know what I mean? Like
it's like drawing blood first on helium.
Well, like, I don't know.
All I'm saying is, right, just real quick, because this has gone one way.
Right.
I would assume the reason somebody like Dylan hasn't been to a festival, who likes music, right? He's got nothing against music. He enjoys music. He listens to music avidly. You know, we'll be playing the PlayStation and he'll have the music on in the background because he enjoys music, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone enjoys music.
All different types of music as well. No, it's not because of the artist. It's not about shite artists turning up. That's a pile of manure. What it is it's people who go and get ruined and, you know, take lines or take eckies or whatever when there's no need. Go, have fun, enjoy the music, camp out, have a drink at night, fine. But this whole all day drinking and causing fights or taking lines or whatever, these are the people who ruin it for people like Dylan, who want to go but don't want to be in. I don't want to be in an environment in which something could break out and he could get inadvertently hit with a bottle for something he's not even involved with. Do you know what I mean? And this has happened. People have died. That's why Teen Park was cancelled. People have died for it because of drugs, because they've been bottled, because they've been stabbed. Like there was
the security guard rating underage girls. That was one of the worst ones. I think that was the reason at Teen Park.
So Teen Park, one of the main
were getting raped at Teen Park, and I think one of the security guards done it, and that's why they got shut down.
Like, there's so many reasons why festivals shouldn't happen. But see, like for example, Dylan could go to a rave, like a hardcore rave, for example, and he would enjoy it if he enjoyed the music, regardless of what's going on around him, because there's no fighting, there's no alcohol, like over alcohol consumption, and very rarely is there drugs at a hardcore rave. But whereas, say with something like Teen Park, that was all you went for, was to take lines and go off your nut in the crowd. That was literally it. There was never about the music, do you know what I mean? Right. That's the issue. It's widely accepted by 18-year-olds. Like my wee sister, for example, is going to a Leeds and Reading Festival later on this year. And it's like, fuck up, you're like 10. Shush, do you know what I mean? And I says, who's playing? She goes, I don't know, I think Ollie Mills is there. Like, so why else are you gone? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no. And that's the environment in which we live in now, that festivals are there. Bad things happen at festivals, hence why they get closed down.
And it's known. It's just people don't care. Like,
aye.
It's this experience of like you go there for that like chance of enjoyment. It genuinely perplexes me.
Aye.
I think I take the point now personally, but
do you want to roll for it?
That's fucking
100%. 100%. I've got a dice here.
Nah, I'll flip for it. I don't trust
you. What you want, orange or red?
Nah, I don't trust you. I'm flipping for it. Jamie, what you want?
What?
Heads or tails?
For what? What we flipping for?
Jamie, if I roll a double six.
No way you're flipping for the point, you can.
Well, I mean, you know, okay, right. I will say I'm sorry. Obviously, I didn't fucking know that you didn't fucking enjoy or never been to.
This is why we prepare the topics and don't make them
shite. Oh, we fucking did, but you just didn't prepare them well enough. Either way.
You should have 2 answers for each question.
Either way, we'll move on. Dylan, what's your final topic?
Holidays.
Holidays.
Jamie, you are not answering first. Anyway.
Right. Worst thing about every holiday, I think everyone can agree, is the airport side of it. It's always like, you know, you've always got to be up at like fucking 3 a.m. You've got to take like fucking hour and a half to drive there. You have to be there fucking 2.5 hours early. It's a fucking miserable experience in general. But I'll get more into that in a minute.
Right, okay. The worst time for holidays for me is travelling. The length of time and
just travelling in general.
Right.
All right. Well,
do you mean like, do you get jet lagged or that, or is it just?
No, it's a magnitude of things.
Which I'm sure you'll get into after Liam goes. Not now, but after you, on you go.
So wait, am I going first?
Aye.
Right. So
subject expectation.
So travel time. So for us in Scotland, for example, right, there's 2 main airports. There obviously is Prestwick as well.
And Dundee, don't forget that.
Aye, no, shut up.
Aberdeen.
Shut up. So the travel time to the airport for a start, and like Liam says, you need to be there dead early. You then need to park somewhere a distance away because the parking's so expensive at airports.
It's got steak in my lines.
So then you then go. I'll buy you a bag, don't worry. Yeah. You then have to go to the airport, travel to the airport from, say, a shuttle bus. Liam, Dylan.
I was fixing that.
Stop moving about, man. So you get a shuttle bus, you know, or you get other transports after you're parked up. You then obviously have the wait times in the airport, which is nothing really shy for our own security, so it's a good measure. You know, so metal detectors, customs, all of this is necessary, and I'm glad it's there. May take the piss, but it's for our own safety. Now, in regards to once you're then onto the plane, it then takes about fucking half an hour to get yourself on the runway. Then, if you're going a long haul, the amount of time it takes, and then you might need to stop somewhere, and you then go somewhere else. Depends on where you're going, of course. So, like, if you're going from Scotland to France, it takes 4 hours. It takes 2.5 hours. Piece of piss, right?
How do you know that?
Been there, done that. Wore the t-shirt as
well.
T-shirt?
Aye. Is that what you're wearing the new?
Aye. And then, but then once you get there, depending on where you are, of course, again, it's then you jump in a car. You're then travelling in that car to your hotel or your villa, whatever it is. Now, again, like in France, it was a Charles de Gaulle, and then we travelled then a further 2 hours to a village in which we were staying in a kind of bungalow type thing. But once you're there, it's fine, but
it's good, it's enjoyable.
Aye. The benefit of travelling to somewhere is because you do all this travelling because you know you're going to get a week or 2 weeks away. Whereas coming back, you're the same amount of time coming back.
I know.
You're coming back to a shite hole.
Although it's always that thing where travelling back, I don't know if you know what I mean, but it feels shorter.
It feels shorter, but it never is.
But like that journey home, like, I don't know if you know what I mean, but by the time you hit your bed, you don't think about that journey home. But when you're going there, you're like, that took the piss to get here. Like, I don't know if you know what I mean.
Like, banging.
Like, I think I know what you mean, but that is the biggest inconvenience of it all. Aye. But there also can be good memories in that. Like, I went it was a bit different when I went to Germany and Amsterdam, and I went on a cruise, so I had no issues with travel. Like, the travel was the best part, probably. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I literally was in a cruise ship for
there's
Amsterdam.
I mean that's different, but alright.
No, but it's a fairly different experience, and like, I don't doubt there would have been hassle getting on. I was just like, I wasn't and didn't care. I was just happy to go on a cruise ship. Tom and Jerry on the TV every day.
Living your best life.
I know, but I think other than something like a cruise ship, travel is the worst part, and obviously, I'm guessing that's what you're going to go into.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, Jamie basically took everything I was about to fucking say, so I'm changing mine on
so
the spot here.
So he won, but you're just going to change it.
No, I'm changing mine.
But
you can't fucking say that he's won.
You can't change it, what are you talking about?
No, I'm fucking, because you just fucking so answer.
Pish, what was your point?
No, literally, I was just going to mention everything that you said about the airport and the travelling and all that. So that's now fucking gone. So
no, your point was the airport, though. So elaborate on your point.
I think your point was it was very similar.
Yeah, I'm changing it. Basically, now I'm going to change it to basically tourists ruining areas of of natural sacredry. Is that how you pronounce it? Like places that are sacred to like
I
locals,
know.
like tourists ruining that.
I know. Yeah, I can't remember what, but yeah.
Yeah. So like you take for example like the Great Wall of China or the pyramids of Giza, like those sorts of things. They were like, and they still are incredible structures to this day, but they have unfortunately now been sort of like ruined and taken away by tourists. Now, don't get me wrong, locals as well have kind of ruined it to a certain extent because they overcharge for things in the local area. All the pollution because they've set up like stalls, vans going through it, all that kind of thing.
Food.
And yeah, and then obviously with tourists with like constantly walking on these things because all the litter, slowly like the monuments are kind of like degrading over time. And
Even
also,
just the area, the monument might be good,
Yeah.
but like the area, it's not good to stand somewhere when you're standing in a pile of mud.
exactly. So
What's the
like,
point of having a monument though if you can't have tourists to view it?
no, I'm not saying like obviously it's great
It's
that we
more
can
how
go
well
and
kept the
travel.
area is.
Yeah, but obviously, like these places that are maybe well invested by governments, or like just because of the sheer amount of people that have been at them, unfortunately, that has caused the area to kind of be destroyed in a sense. And it's come to this point that because tourists are still coming every day, they can't like close it just to like get it all fixed, if that makes sense. They have to just.
Although I'd say there is certain places that are good at that. Like, I don't know if you know what I mean, but like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, there's no one complains about going there. You know what I mean? That's one of those places that, like, they're in Greece as well. Obviously, you've got all the Colosseums there. They're very well kept. I think it is.
Well, think about
the country.
Yeah. I mean, like you're saying there, Leaning Tower of Pisa is well kept. But if you think about it, same city, Rome, the fucking Colosseum's there. They're falling apart to shit because they're right in the center of the city. And obviously, with everyone traveling through it, pollution, folk going up to get fucked up, people just like, slowly degrading over time. It causes it to not only lose its natural beauty, but history might be lost. And, then slowly over time, people might not want to go and visit it.
Fuck them. It's Rome. Fuck them.
But yeah,
Rome wasn't built in a day. Fuck them. And they lost the battles to the Vatican City. Embarrassing bastards. They deserve it.
Either way, avoiding Jamie's prejudice, that was my...
No, but in general, right, let's take something
point.
local to us, right? Stirling Castle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the
It's not local to me, but
Local to the two main hosts.
Aye. He said that, not me. By the way. I would never say that, mate. You're Mary hosting me. Anyway,
fucking sucking him off over there.
As I was saying, right? So Stirling Castle, right? That now is a prime area for, boy racers and drag racers to go up, sit with their cars on. They all talk to each other. Cars never go off. They drag race from one side to the other. The wheel spin. They burn out. The grounds aren't well kept by people who with an FK postcode. So these tourists who do come across and view it, why have they treated it any better than what the people of the local community does? Now, I'm not saying that tourists come over and they drop litter constantly or, they pollute it or whatever, but people in the own local area don't take care of it. Why does the tourists have to?
No, well, you will find though, I think like obviously 99% of locals probably do if they go up to visit these places, they treat it with respect. You obviously get the idea, it's like you mentioned, they're the boy racers that are tearing up the place. But if you find that, like also I think to counteract your point, if you're having say 100 like locals go up to that area a day, but 2 of them like, drop litter or cause damage in some regard, obviously that's shit. But if then you get, and if that's what a 2% amount of the people, but say if you get 2,000 tourists that then go up to that place and say it's the same, 2% of them cause the damage, it's obviously going to be more impactful from the tourists that are doing it. Because obviously tourists will visit these areas more because they're there to see that. If you live in that area, you probably aren't going to go up the Stirling Castle for the 100th time,
What is it? Just off topic, do you know what the 7 wonders of the world are? I can't even remember.
Pyramids of Giza. There's the old ones and the new ones.
It'd probably be the new ones, like the Niagara Falls. Is that older now?
That's old. Or is it new? I can't remember. So you've got like Niagara Falls, Pyramids of Giza, the Taj Mahal. You've got Great Wall of China. What else is there? The pyramids, not pyramids, like the ruins in Peru, which I can't remember the name of.
It's one saying from Jordan. It's Petra. It's like I think all of those buildings are like they're obviously the main place you talk about. Taj Mahal is so well kept. Like there's no question of that.
Oh yeah, no,
since they're so like purely like Christian, they are very respectful. They're very respectful of the statue.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying this is a problem everywhere, and I'm not saying necessarily it's the 7 wonders of the world that are the bad place. I'm just saying in general.
It's kind of catch-22 because those are the most known, but because they're so known, they are so well kept. But
even things like the Stirling Castle, though, you can close that for renovation. They did that. Do you know what I mean? Like these things can happen.
Yeah, but as I was going to say, though, obviously you may have corrupt governments and that in some places that don't put the money back into these infrastructures, and as a result, and that's not a fault necessarily of the tourists, but obviously as a result, it doesn't get repaired and it's still a shithole.
So
You're
that's
fucking shared, Dylan, honestly.
I'm sorry. I tried to get a new one.
So in regards to actual holidays, right? What's the worst thing about holidays? Because that's basically tourism you went full on.
Holidays and tourism I'd say it's similar enough.
But what like the worst part of your holiday is tourism?
But like it's the worst part of the idea of a holiday. The worst part of the idea of a holiday is somebody going to a country and like disrespecting that country. It's like that can just make you cringe.
So it's not for you going on holiday, it's for people coming to your country.
It's essentially on the subject of holidays. It doesn't even need to be your own country. You could respect a monument in a different country. Like you could really respect the pyramids in Egypt. Like I've been, obviously, well cultured.
Yeah, like I know, for example, if I tomorrow get on a plane and go and visit some pyramids, I know I'm not going to be a cock that pisses on them or throws litter on the ground or that. But I know obviously but I know there might be some wee dickhead Billy from the south of England that might go and do that,
Liam doesn't go there and rub it.
A small minority of people.
Liam just goes Liam clings to the top and just takes a big shite and just runs.
What a monument to the people. Anyway, who wins then, Don?
I'd say for the more logical argument, you can't win because,
that's fair.
Jamie's was purely holiday based. Yeah, but it is close. It's not like a landslide victory.
Yeah, that's fair. Right then.
You're ready to get an easy win if he's not changed?
What's that?
Are you ready to get an easy win if he's not changed his answer?
Anyway, so Jamie, your final topic of the night?
Gaming,
the worst part about it. When you go, Luke?
I think you should go down.
You go down.
How easily you get sucked in?
I mean, I could go boring, but I don't really want to. The fucking
That's been your issue tonight, William. Just go boring.
I don't want to be fucking boring. Because I was going to say, microtransactions, but everyone knows they're fucking shit anyway. Constant go on constantly about like the fanboy over like games and they go obsessed.
They're like the Doom fanboys.
It's very similar to being sucked into something.
No, I think it's different. What I mean is, do you want me to expand?
Expand.
So see how when I'd left school and that, and I had nothing to do, I could literally play the PlayStation for 8 hours straight. You know what I mean? I'd go from my room to the toilet, from my room to the kitchen, from my room to the toilet, and go my room and go to bed. You know what I mean? Staying up for I feel like that whole aspect, if it can very easily throw off your life balance. And people say it causes you to do gun fans. So it's nothing like that. I think it's just anything that you can do like that. You know what I mean? It could be watching TV. Just my hook was games. I couldn't watch TV the same way that I'd play games. I could, and I'm incorporate everything. I'll be playing a game and listening to a podcast or playing a game and watching a movie. But I feel like nothing sucks me in more than FIFA. You're expected on the FIFA's competitive game mode. You're supposed to be 30 games of FIFA in 3 days. That's 10 games of FIFA a day. 150 minutes per game minimum because it's got overtime. 150 minutes, that's over 2 hours worth of FIFA. They expect you to play per day on the weekend. And I'm not, no one needs to do it. But it's one of those things where if you want to play FIFA at a good level, like we all did when we were playing FIFA, you're expected to put in over 7 hours worth of like game time, which when you think it isn't a good work-life balance when most people work on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I think from my point of view, it's not necessarily as what Dylan was saying. It's, like, obviously, like, people are, like, obsessed about certain genres and certain, like, properties and that. And that's fine if you can be a fan of something. But it's when people take it too far. So, like, for example, like, constantly, like, I don't know, going on Twitter, Facebook, or that, and, like, saying this is going to be the greatest game ever. That's fine. I mean, it's a wee bit cringy, but it's fine. But it's, like, the constant, like, say, like, once, like, the game's released or that, and it turns out, actually, it's a wee bit shit compared to what you'd hoped it was. And then folk are taking the piss out of them. Again, it's a wee bit cringy, but it's just like then they'll fire back and, sort of say like, oh, fuck you. Or if they're incredibly disappointed, they might make a rant or like a video rant about it. And then they might, send, even worse cases, some of these people might send like death threats to these poor, like, game developers that have been working like 12 hours every day for like 2 months to get this game released. Now, okay, it's not great that it's shit, but it's not necessarily their fault. Or if like they don't like a character, they'll like message them like death threats or say like, I'm going to kill your kids or something like that. It's these people that get too obsessed into it, because don't get me wrong, you see it in other forms of media as well, like, films or TV shows or that. But I feel like you often see about it or hear about it the worst from video games, and these people just becoming too obsessed with it. Because I mean, I can see why, because, like, there might be a new film that you want to release there might be a new film you want to see every month, say. Whereas, like, video games nowadays are really expensive. They can be anywhere from, like, £60 to £100 for, like, a video game.
The PS5
so, like,
default price is 70 now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so,
like
like,
the standard is 70.
Yeah, so, like, say if you're a kid or that, or, like, say if you're working a low-end job, you might be able to afford 1 or 2 games a year, and that's your entertainment for the year, basically. So if they get something they've been really excited for because they've seen great trailers for months and months now and they complain, that's understandable. But it's when these fucking people take it too far and start, trying to harass the creators of the game that might have done nothing wrong, but they've put in all the effort they can into it. It's just
not even that. See how COD, they had to hire figureheads, like the way Apple had Steve Jobs. They had to hire. The only one that stands out to me is David Vonderhaar. Very little he'd done very little of the game. He was literally hired as a piñata. You know what I mean? Like, you just keep getting all these, like, people would send death threats to him and all that. He was just the figurehead of like this company, but he wasn't a creative designer. He wasn't a owner of the company or that. He was paid to do it. And it was like, when you need to get to the point where you're paid to get bullied online, what is it? And that was early Call of Duty, you know what I mean? That was Modern Warfare. That was Black Ops 1. He was the figurehead of it. And it's like, you're literally needing to pay someone.
What a game is that, man?
I know, it was such a good game. So he barely he actually got more praise, but I know there were people that made Modern Warfare 2 that did get, like, the people that, like, I can't remember any of their names, but they were hired figureheads that got serious abuse on Modern Warfare 2 for 2 shotguns that were too overpowered for 3 months.
So, like, yeah, I can see, like, to close it off, I can see, like, why folk get angry and why they want to complain. But it's those, granted, it is a minority, but those minority that do take it too far and either try to take lives or try and threaten to take people's lives or bully or harass.
I feel like it's when you involve family and stuff in that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I think that's one of the biggest boundaries.
Which you would like to hope wouldn't happen, but it's clear because you see more and more like people posting, like, by the way, this week 14-year-old dickhead sent me this. It's just like saying, like, I'm going to shank your nan or something like that. Like, fuck off.
So your point is more based on the hate crime that comes with the...
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But, like, the toxic communities that are built up in that area. Like, there's so many people that done that with Last of Us 2.
It's hard, right? Because I was going to go with Dylan's on the basis that...
But you're not.
Shut up, you're funny. I was going to go with Dylan's on the basis that you're getting sucked into something that's requiring, such lengthy period of time to play. But to counter that, you also get a lot of good for playing games. Not for that length of time, because it's educational as well as you can communicate with people. especially during COVID, for example, you could communicate with people on a level more so, and it helped people through COVID. But a non-COVID time, I get the idea of playing 7 hours at a weekend can be like unthinkable, but at the same time, you've got a switch yourself. You can turn on and off. You don't need to do it. It's, you know, you should be able to tell yourself, no, I'm not playing it this weekend, and no worry about it. But at the same time, Williams, his is such, again, small minority of hate crime that happens. Now, we know firsthand how toxic Rocket League can be.
Oh, I mean, I'll admit I can be horrible on it as well.
I feel like that makes a community, though. I feel like it makes a community, but see when it goes to...
Yeah, but there's a line.
Hear me out. But when it goes to the people who's made the game's family and whatnot, it becomes a lot more serious.
And the Rocket League community devs are good at taking it, but there is a line.
Aye. But because of the amount of time that people play is a bit mad, I'll go with Dylan's, because FIFA have proactively, that was a good point he brought across, FIFA have proactively said, look, if you want to get these rewards, you must play 30 games of FIFA when there's no need. And then if you don't do it, you're then forcing to buy microtransactions in order to keep up with your rest of your...
That was my point.
Aye. Friend group.
I'll take the microtransactions.
Nice fucking leech there, you cunt. But in general, it's like, if you don't play these 30 games, or at least 15 of them, and get 14 in once, somehow, you know, get the gold 3 or gold 2 rewards, whatever, to then be able to potentially pack players to make money, you're then going into a microtransaction world in which
me and you went out of not wanting to do that grind.
It's a dangerous situation, and for that reason, it's you know, that would be the only reason I would give it to you. But in general, playing...
See, my argument for, like, I get what you're meaning with over COVID times. I'm meaning, like, it'd be times where you're at work 9 till 5, and I'd be sleeping when you leave work. By the time you got home and that, I might be up, but, like, I would be up till 6 in the morning. And the worst game for it for me personally was Minecraft, because I would just get so, like, I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's one of those ones that is... Open world is one of the easiest things to get. GTA as well is really bad for it. Like, it's anything that's open world where you can just do... It sounds so stupid, but like the whole idea of Minecraft is you've got to go do one more thing. You know what I mean? In a story mode, you get to a mission and you stop. But in like Minecraft, there is literally that whole idea of one more thing. Like, oh, I can go do this. I can go do this.
Like Netflix, so it's just like, just one more episode.
One more episode, like that's what I said. Like that was my thing. But for another person, it is one more episode, and I've been in that situation as well with one more episode.
I feel as though that's a lot worse than the amount of hate crime that happens.
No, that's fair.
In comparison to how much gets followed through as well.
Yeah.
So, definite score of time, but realistically, how often does it happen? You know, it's like probably 0.01%. Do you know what I mean?
Most of the people making the death threats as well are under 12. If you're honest.
Yeah, but like,
doesn't mean it's right.
It's severe. It's severe. It's just.
It's not even that though. Like, you might not care about yourself. Like, if you get them, you might be able to fund it. But it's that if like your family gets it, they've got nothing to do with it. It's sort of the point of thing.
That's when you need to offer the guys for go. You know what I
mean? Iceland, bring pals.
See, I'm Rocket League. I've got a default setting. It says Iceland. Like, see if I keep part my one. It says if I type in it'll say Iceland at Bristol, bring pals.
Aye, this man's prime for hate crime. But as
no,
shush.
How they commit hate crime.
Either way, I presume you both know who's won anyway, but do you want me to go through the scores?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so in last place, no shock, it's me, you know. Try to go for the more different answers.
Go for first, listener.
Now, I would say it's close, but to be honest, it only really came back at the end there. So, in first place is the host, Jamie.
Well, Jamie, pick up your bottle of Dr. Your diet and Echo.
Wait, hold on.
There you go. Let's see how it is.
For winning 2 game shows in a row, congratulations, you get your chatty. Well done.
Yeah, that's me. Easy peasy, then you're granny spit.
Right,
What was the points?
So I got 1, Dylan got 3, and you got 5.
I feel like the best thing to do now is brainstorm the next podcast, the next game show.
Yeah, I mean,
I think for another day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We might, I don't know. Either next, we'll discuss it beforehand. Either next time we'll do a different game show. I think maybe Would I Lie to You again.
Just briefly before we do wrap this up, right? I just want to say that I'm sorry if you've listened to the full 2 hours and 30 minutes that this has probably been. And going on to the podcast topics, this is precisely why I won that point.
But see, you've just kind of went against yourself because you made one of the first arguments made in this podcast was the fact that podcasts can be too long.
I blame you though because you mutter on about shit constantly.
No, I feel like that's why the podcasts are better than interviews.
If you say so.
Well, either way, it's been a long night. We've done well to get through it.
Especially you, because I've done 2 podcasts. It's not like I worked an 8-hour shift this Monday. But
I mean, me and Jamie have done the real hardship today, let's be honest.
100%.
But yeah, anyway, Don, appreciate you coming on as always. Always good
I'll
to
be
have
back
the host
back. Next time, not with red eyes.
Well, next time we see you, it'll either be for another game show or Christmas. Who fucking knows, whatever comes first.
No matter what, I feel like now if I come on at Christmas, we need to get a wee speed round of Would I Lie to You, just one each or something.
Nah, all right. I'll have a deal with you. You'll come on again before Christmas. We'll definitely do one Would I Lie to You before Christmas, all right?
Would I Lie to You? Would I tell the trustees is a real question?
Shut up. On that note, then, I've been Liam Whyte.
I've been Jamie Allan.
Bye-bye.
I can't do you.
2 hours and 30 minutes in the fucking outro, man.
This game.
We'll go again, Liam. Hit it again. Fuck it.
I've been Liam Whyte.
I've been Jamie Allan.
I've been Dylan.
Thank you. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
We talk football and current events, sitting and chatting with the very best guests, with 2 Scottish boys and we're loving it. So if you like witty banter, check the former #1 podcast on iTunes, sitting and chatting.